Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody doing? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whoever you're doing it with, and however it feels. I'm glad you're here with me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's Monday, and I have fixed ye oldie doggo cam. So yeah, the problems resolved themselves due to hard work, quick thinking, and a great deal of trial and error. But we're here, and that's what we're all about: is doggo cam and Maritime Monday. So welcome everybody. Again, if you're just watching this to see the Maritime Monday part of the show and you don't want to deal with the back of the house stuff and all the catch up and previews things, skip ahead about 10 minutes because we got to talk. First of all, today's video comes from a great little channel that I discovered while trying to find the best video for this subject, which is what I like to do. Whenever there's a topic that I want to talk about or a particular incident I want to talk about, I scour YouTube, I scour other sources for some of the best video on it. And this video here, this particular accident, this particular tragedy takes place in the Philippines. And there's a smallish Filipino channel called Stories from the Orient is the name of the channel. They have 1.65 thousand subscribers. There's 26 videos on the site. It's a small little channel, but it's incredibly cool. I binge watched a bunch of videos from this channel just because I saw this, and then there was a bunch of other things. I'm going to put it's in the description. The link is in the description, but I'm going to put it here in the chat too, in case anybody wants to go on over and subscribe to this channel. You should subscribe to this channel if you like interesting cultural things and horror stories and maritime related stuff. The link is down there in the chat. Stories from the Orient, they cover things from kind of a Filipino cultural perspective. There's like some horror stories, scandals, and murderers. There's a Philippine Airlines flight tragedy. This case, the Manila Film Center disaster. There's some Filipino folklore. Some things that have happened in discos and other places. But the folklore stuff is really cool because those are the things that I like to see. The folklore, the myths and the legends and things. That's all there. And speaking of myths and legends, kicking us off at the Super Chats today is Let's Go Brandon. We're all here solely for the dogs. Only $95 more to Doggo Cam. So this is the channel. Again, I just put the link down there and the mods, if you can kind of like flash that throughout the day, that would be kind of cool. Give these guys a little boost. So their smallest channel, 1.65 thousand. So if depending on how many we can get them up to, we can get another 100 or 2 subscribers for them, I think, if that's kind of your thing. And again, that's sort of what I like to do for people. If I'm essentially using the product that they have made through their blood, sweat, and tears, I want to support those channels, not just steal their stuff and make it my own. I want to enhance what he's done, and this is a fine video about a Filipino tragedy from a Philippine perspective, which is really, really interesting and really, really good. So the name of the channel, again, is Stories from the Orient. And the link was just put down there in the chat. Mods, thank you so much for being here. I guess we need to thank everybody that participated in the F It Friday last Friday. That was a lot of fun. The little bits I can remember. I had to go back and watch a little bit of it today. I've never, ever, ever in my entire life blacked out from being drunk, but I will admit that there were some fuzzy details there that took a while for them to come back to me. So I think the formula works because I slept for about 12 hours and I was perfectly fine. I didn't want to die like I did last month. So the high proof alcohol and the semi higher level for consuming got me where I needed to be. It was it was great. I felt great. I had a lot of fun. It was mostly coherent most of the time, and I didn't want to die. I just slept for 12 hours, and I was great. So thank you to everybody that participated in that. That was fun. Had some great guests, and we're gonna have a ball next month, because can you believe it? Next month's F It Friday will be my 1-year anniversary celebration. Can you believe that? As of next month, I'll have been doing this YouTube thing for a year already. That is just wild. Time went by really, really super fast. So next month, you're really going to want to bring it hard because that's going to be the 1 year blowout extravaganza. We'll have some people that you love. We'll have some people you like. We'll have some people you disagree with. And we'll probably even have some people you hate on. Because I plan on having everybody that had anything to do with my 1 year journey. And we'll see what happens there. But that's kind of the plan. 1 year on YouTube next month. Do not miss. And I don't know what the date will be. We'll have to set the date later. But next month is the 1 year anniversary. And it's great to see all the changes, the developments that I've made in my life and my channel. And the guests and the supporters and the people out there and you, my audience that have developed your own channels and taken off. This has been such a really cool year. So there we go. Next month, do not miss F It Friday. Do not miss tomorrow either. Tomorrow is going to be an absolute horror story. There's this school district that has books in their library that would make the authors of 50 Shades of Grey and several prawn sites, it would make them blush. And you get to hear a school board try to justify why these horrific books are on their shelves. And then we'll give you a little bit of an update on what's happening in that school district. Megan Fox, medium smart Megan Fox, not the thumbs, the other one, the reporter. This is a story that she first raised. She's going to be on for a bit tomorrow to talk about this. This is an absolute, indefensible nightmare of a school district. So we'll watch that video tomorrow. Please buckle in and strap on, because tomorrow it's going to be an age-restricted show. As soon as the show is over, it will go age-restricted. No question. Absolutely no question. That's what's going to happen. And the fact that you can have something in a school board, you can have something in a school library, a young child's school library, that the mere fact I'm talking about it will get that video age restricted on YouTube is ridiculous. Just think about that. The mere fact that tomorrow we're going to be talking about something that will unquestionably get me age restricted is something that you can see on a young child's library shelf in a school. But stay tuned for that tomorrow. Wednesday, still kind of working out what the topic will be. Got a few things running through my head. Thursday will be the O.J. Simpson show with Chandler and I. Friday, we'll have to see what happens for Friday as well. But that's the deal. That's what's coming up. And then next week will be another Maritime Monday. So, but don't miss tomorrow. You won't want to miss it. You won't want to miss Thursday, OJ, and the other shows in between. Of course, he'll be here. Why not? I think that's all of the housekeeping stuff we've got to get through. But again, I just want to thank you all for your generosity you showed me on F It Friday, and the guests were great. You guys were great. There was surprisingly few problems in chat, at least that I was capable of noticing. All right, so let's do the final approach here. We're on final approach. Let's see. We've got our like and subscribe poll. 300 people here right now. 197 likes. 100 of you haven't done your job. 2/3 of you have, because you're smart and you're nice and you're wonderful and you're great. 100 of you need to step your game up. All right, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is great fun. We had the 36,000 subscriber celebration on F It Friday, but as it for about the last week, I love this little roller coaster. We go up to 325, we go down to 36, we go to 36,025, we go back down, and we're doing that today. Where are we at here? We're at 36,012, so we haven't fallen as much as we usually do. Maybe this is the beginning of the launch to 37,000. Oh, and what do we got coming up next week? By the way, I almost forgot. That was one of the reasons why I was doing all of this. Coming up, starting next week, Hayden, Ozzy Overlord, and I, we will be doing a new trial. The same way we did the Anderson trial. I'll take the morning session. He'll take the afternoon session. We'll be making that announcement on Wednesday, I believe. So stay tuned for that. it's going to be a trial. Those of you that may remember the love-struck prison guard who conspired with her boyfriend to break out of prison. They fled, they ran away, and she died. He's up for murder. That trial is starting on Monday. So I think that's the one we're going to be doing. There's 3 trials that are coming up next week, and I think that's the one we're going to do. So stay tuned for that next week. I almost forgot to do that. And the super chats that have come in since Let's Go Brandon kicked us off a few minutes ago. Marv White, are you ready, kids? Are you ready? Aye, aye, Captain. In the Sponge. Okay, never mind. I should have read that last part first, but in the SpongeBob intro theme. Fondin, thank you so much for your super chat. Let's get the real stars of the show on, Yoda and Strawberry. Yoda's weird. Yoda just like stumbles off into the distance. We'll have to bring in Yoda and shut the door so he can't escape. I think he's already gone to sleep on the sofa. Strawberry's hanging out under the table here. And Hunch the Dirty River says, "Bring us the doggos." Well, they'll be here. Looks like they'll be here. And Flux, Mocha Dick Poon, XOXO, fully adjustable. Hi, Jeff. We are going to war with your side of the world soon. LMAO, help. Yeah, no, we're not. Anytime the U.S. is just kind of starting to wrap up some exercises here, and Flux knows this. She's been part of these exercises here in Korea before. Anytime there's an exercise that goes on here, there was a submarine here in port, a nuclear submarine here in port a while ago. There was an aircraft carrier in a week and a half ago, and they're in the middle of doing these exercises. So whenever that happens, North Korea goes, "Ooh, look at us, we're powerful too, please pay attention to us." And China goes, we're getting ready to fight. It's just the saber rattling and people wanting to seem relevant and do this. There's nobody here cares. There's no tension whatsoever here. It's just all saber rattling at each other and chest pumping, chest pounding, and all that sort of stuff. But we're good. Thank you so much for that super chat, Flux. And another one from Let's Go Brandon. They show prawns to children. Fight fire with fire. Don't age restrict the stream manually. Use that right hand for something more productive. No, the reason I'm saying is because Megan did it. Megan reviewed the video, and hers went to age restricted. So I'm just guaranteeing it's going to happen because it's pretty graphic. They read parts of these books during the board meeting, and it is extraordinarily graphic. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. And Chandler Remington, here's to 1 year of YouTube. See you all on Thursday. Yes, thank you very much, Chandler. That is so nice of you to do that. And Swan Lake Lady, thank you for bringing in the big guns. Wow. Well, when do the dogs get their own law dog cards? Well, you just stay tuned. There might be something like that coming. Don't worry. Just stay tuned. Thank you so much for that extraordinarily generous deal here. And that's put us over the doggo cam thing. We didn't even get to start. We didn't even get to do a countdown. It's just like, all right. So now I've got to convince Strawberry to get out from under the desk. Go on over there, buddy. Go sit. Yeah, there you go. And when we start the video, I'll go find out where the hell Yoda went. Right. Boop. There's one of my little co-hosts. All right. And we need to get going on this here. So I want to make sure I don't miss any of these super chats. I think I got all the super chats from F at Friday, because I went back through and I couldn't remember if I read them or not, but some of them seemed kind of familiar. So I think I got all the F at Friday super chats. If you didn't, please let me know. When the dogs get their own, okay, we got that one. Scrolling down here. I wish I was drunk. Hey, welcome. Hey, Jeff, how are we? I'm as my glasses. I'm as shook as a hand at mass. Bank holiday weekend, so I had a few cheeky pints. Suffering now for my sins. That's okay. I had a few. Well, I didn't have a few pints. I had about a pint and a half of whiskey by the time we were done. Chat, you guys are funny. I'm trying to read some of these things here. The Norks are still using 50s era aircraft. Might as well used Fokker triplanes. Yeah, the Chinese are a little bit more modern, but they don't care. $10 for the doggos. Thank you so much. They're gonna get some little treats here from all of you guys. All right, that's it. I'm just checking here. Oh, poor baby, she's so sleepy, so cute. And Strawberry and Yoda are exact polar opposites. Strawberry, Dargy, if anybody is moving, if anything is moving in the house, she won't sleep. And Yoda's just lights out at 10 o'clock, which is 10:21 right now. I can literally set my clock by Yoda. Because if I'm just like walking around and suddenly Yoda just falls over, I go, oh, it's about 10 o'clock. So anyway, here we are, guys. Thank you so much for that. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than I anticipated. I expected to be about 10 minutes. That was a 16-minute background story. I appreciate that, but that's what we got coming up tomorrow. The OJ on Thursday, some filler stuff in between, and a new trial starting on Monday after Maritime Monday. All right, folks. Today, this Doña Paz case. Now, I know we've said this before, that we're dealing with one of the more tragic events in history, but this truly is. This is truly one of the largest maritime disasters in the history of planet Earth. It's bad. It's really, really bad. We talk about greed, corruption, ignorance, indifference, causing by one party causing an accident. This is a collision involving two ships, two vessels that both sides were horrifically bad in doing what they were doing, but one was worse than the other. And this raises some very, very interesting questions that we'll get through here, where just because some party was negligent in doing something, does that mean that something contributed to the accident? That's one issue to look at today. But this involves the Doña Paz. This ship has had it had a very checkered past. It was built in 1963 in Japan, and this accident occurred in 1987. So it was like a 24-year-old vessel, which is pretty young. I mean, it's not brand new, of course, but it's a young adulthood for a ship. But in that time, it was originally, now we'll let you do the math here yourself as we go along. The original capacity for the ship, as it was built in 1963, as the Hime Yurimaru, was 608 passengers. That was the passenger capacity, 608. But in October 1975, the ship was bought by another company and named the Don Sulpicio. And in 1979, 4 years after they bought it, 10 years before this accident, but 8 years before this accident, there was a fire on the ship. So the ship burned in 1979, and they restored it, they refurbished it, and they renamed it to the Doña Paz. Now, this is where you just need to start doing the math when you're looking at this case. Passenger capacity of 608. The ship was overcrowded. Now listen to this sentence carefully. The vessel was seriously overcrowded with at least 2,000 passengers not on the manifest. 2,000 passengers that were not on the passenger manifest. So we're looking at least 2,600 people on this 2,608 people on this 608 person vessel. Now, again, as I said, listen to that sentence: 2,000 passengers not listed on the manifest. Just because there's people not listed on the manifest doesn't mean there's not an overcrowded situation with people that are actually listed on the manifest. The ship came into collision with a tanker. And, the tankers don't have that large of crews. So do this math here. 608 passengers was what the ship was designed for. There were 2,000 people not on the manifest. So that brings us to 2,608. But the death toll was 4,385 people. That ship was roughly 4,000 people on a 600-person ship. Well, is that what happened? But see, this is the thing. When it caught on fire, and they're going to talk a little bit about this in the video, when it caught on fire in 1979, there were 1,164 people on board when the fire happened in 1979. But all of those were rescued. But they rebuilt the ship and they named it the Doña Paz. So even the first time it happened, it was essentially at double capacity. Things went wrong. Things went wrong. So let's just say the Doña Paz had roughly 4,000 people on, and it had a 608 passenger capacity. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is the question you've got to look for as we go through this video. Booterberries asked, seriously, where are they fitting in all these extra people? Oh, watch that. Listen to that. That'll be a very interesting part of this. But in the inquiries that happened, the Doña Paz that had 4,000 passengers was ultimately found not to blame for the accident. So there are some very interesting things going on with this accident and these cases and the cases surrounding this. So keep your eyes open as we go through this. This is insane. This and like I said, this was only 1987. So any of you that are from the Philippines, or know of anyone from the Philippines, or have significant others from the Philippines, this is still a thing. This was. And I guess I should mention the reason I wanted to do this is because I told you that I would never talk about the Sewol ferry accident here in Korea that happened here. Just because it's such a huge thing here in Korea, and as a foreigner, I got nothing to gain by talking about it. But that accident happened 19 years ago, next Saturday. It's the next Saturday, I believe, the 16th of this month. So yeah, that would be next Sunday. Next Sunday will mark the 9th anniversary of the sinking of the Sewol ferry here in Korea. And I urge you all, if you have any interest in the Sewol ferry, that, like I said, I just cannot talk about for all kinds of political reasons here in Korea, go to Brick and Mortar's channel. Brick and Mortar has 2 incredible videos about the sinking of the Sewol ferry, and watch that there. But I want to do some similar accident, that didn't just involve the loss of life on a ferry, and this is a big one. I mean, it was the death toll in this Doña Paz was 10 times. Well, I guess it was like 100 times actually. No, was it 10? Yeah, it was 10 times larger than the Sewol ferry. And the Sewol ferry is such a huge thing here still 9 years later. This accident in the Philippines is still a national tragedy, 35 years later. So with that, let's bring this up and start watching this video. And remember, this video comes from Stories of the Orient. Go check out the channel and subscribe to their channel if you're interested in these things and some Filipino folklore and some other non-maritime based tragedies that have come up. And I mean, this is a big deal. I can't really. There's so many things that I want to say, but I got to wait my time until they come up actually in the video because I don't want. I just laid down. Look for these things. Look for how they got overloaded, how this was allowed, what happened, why, even though they were overloaded by almost 8 times, how they were found not to be responsible. Fascinating stuff. And I'll let it start, and then I'm going to go black out the video, and I'm going to find out where Yoda is and get them some snacks. I will be right back once we get this started. Let's share our screen. All right. And this is the channel. And see, you'll notice I have liked and I have subscribed to the channel, so I expect you should do the same if you're interested in this sort of thing.
Christmas season is the time of the year.
Yeah, and this happened like 5 days before Christmas too. Yeah, that doesn't help.
Where families gather together to celebrate the Yuletide season, savoring that time off well earned during the year, and enjoying the company of loved ones. This magnitude of gathering creates the Christmas holiday rush, where thousands of people flock transportation terminals, malls, and local shopping places in a last-minute attempt to get home and bring holiday presents for their family. One evening of December 1987, a passenger ferry on its peaceful going-home trip to Manila collided with an oil tanker, killing a few thousand people and leaving a mark not only in Philippine history but to the whole world as one of the deadliest peacetime maritime disasters.
Hello, I'm back.
MV Doña Paz, a 2,324 gross ton passenger ferry.
So that's not that big of a ship, by the way. 2,300 tons is not really a big ship. And after the retrofit, that was the listed capacity for passengers. Remember, it was originally 608. After the fire, and they renovated the ship, they could put on 1,500 passengers.
Man is one of many shipping vessels owned by Sulpicio Lines, now known as Philippines Pan Asia Carrier Corporation. Originally known as the Himeyuri Maru, it was built in 1963 by the Japanese company Onomichi Dockyard and operated by RKK Line in Hiroshima. This maiden vessel was powered by a single Niigata engine, harnessing 5,500 horsepower and capable of 18 knots top speed. First launched on April 25 that year and had a listed capacity of 608 passengers. In October 1975.
What? Booterberry says, "Damn it, Jeff, what did I do now?" What? Yes, I gave them treats because they deserve treats. They're good little dogs. What? Why is everybody apologizing to Booterberries? What have I missed? Whatever.
It was sold to Sulpicio Lines and was renamed to MV Don Sulpicio as homage to its owner Don Sulpicio Go. MV Don Sulpicio was refitted to cater more passengers, and the records officially listed it as 1,424. A year later, the sister ship of Himeyuri Maru, Otohime Maru, would also be acquired from the same company. Otohime Maru had the same 5,500 horsepower Niigata engine, but was capable of 19.5 knots top speed. She would then be renamed to Doña Ana, and the twin ferries would be known as the Big Two, offering cheap fares among the competition-heavy Manila to Cebu route.
Okay, so again, this is the thing. This is a ferry that goes between Manila and Cebu. So it's in operation constantly. It's full to capacity constantly, and as we can see, it's overcrowded most of the time. And why and how it came to be overcrowded.
At
We'll
that
learn
time,
about.
their biggest competitor on the Manila-Cebu route was the reputable William Lines. On June 5, 1979, MV Don Sulpicio was gutted with fire on its voyage from Manila to Cebu. All 1,164 passengers and crews aboard were rescued, but MV Don Sulpicio was docked and declared a total wreckage. Thorough investigation traced the culprit back to a cigarette butt, carelessly thrown into the cargo hold some 7 hours after departure from Manila port. With the wreckage dragged into the open waters of Batangas port, Sulpicio Lines decided to salvage what was left of it, and MV Don Sulpicio would be refitted again and given a new name, MV Doña Paz.
Now MV just stands for motor vessel. So you have like FB whatever, that's like fishing boat whatever, MV whatever is like motor vessel whatever. So that's just kind of how you identify what kind of a vessel it is, just from the name.
She was the second vessel to carry that name in the Sulpicio Lines fleet, with the first one being an XFS, or freight and supply ship. Its primary route would also be changed, now traveling from Manila to Tacloban, and vice versa, twice a week with a stopover at Catbalogan, Samar. On the other side of the disaster was the Empty Vector, a 629 gross ton oil tanker, previously known as Oil Nick II, and carrying a crew of 13 men. It was built in 1980.
Okay, now so this is the ship that collided with the Doña Paz. And said they had 13 crew members on board that, 629 gross tons. That's a very small little oil tanker.
Oil Nick II, and carrying a crew of 13 men. It was built in 1980 in Manila by Navotas Industrial Corporation and operated by Vector Shipping Incorporated, owned by a certain Francisco Soriano. This 170 feet long tanker was designed to transport petroleum products such as kerosene, diesel, and gasoline.
All right, so now we're going to start getting into some of the details of how this ship operated.
December 20, 1987, Sunday, 6 o'clock a.m. MV Doña Paz can be seen silently docked from the port, waiting till 6:30 a.m. to start its 375-mile journey from Tacloban to Manila. It was the usual busy and cold December morning, and the port was buzzing with life and thousands of people staring back and forth. It was just a few days away from Christmas. Not to mention, it was the weekend before the celebration, so the holiday rush was in full swing. It was no surprise that the dock would be filled with hundreds of thousands of people wanting to go back to their respective offshore relatives.
Yeah, and see, this is something that you see in a lot of places where people move around for holidays. You used to see this in a huge way in Korea 25 years ago. The big holidays here are the Chuseok holiday, which is sort of the Thanksgiving holiday of Korea, and Lunar New Year. And you would go to the bus stations or the ferry terminals, and it was just a sea of humanity trying to get on the limited number of buses to go from point A to point B, because those are the two holidays where everybody goes back to the head of the family. Like the oldest brother in the family. That's whose house you have to go to for these celebrations. So yeah, it's just packed in people. And so saying that there's hundreds of thousands of people waiting to go back I can't imagine that's even an exaggeration.
To others, they were young adults basking on the hope to find their golden opportunity in Manila, mostly seeking jobs as maids. That morning, MV Doña Paz was once again tasked to carry its routine 1,500-passenger voyage back to Manila, a task the ship has been doing for the past 8 years of its service. Earlier, people would flock to the ship just as proper behavior was expected. Families and friends were cheering as they strutted and boarded the ship. However, as the departure time was nearing, So began the haste of people trying to get aboard the ship. It was believed that the crew were already aware that the maximum limit had already been reached, but
Hmm.
given the pleas of people wanting to get onto the ride, they let the people board, bypassing safety protocols and letting them be at least for this ride.
So again, I mean, in one way you can understand it. The people want to get to their families. They're begging to get to the families. The ship owner can help them out by putting on more people than necessary. No, Corn Pope, this was not a Japanese vessel. This was a Filipino vessel. It was built in Japan, and it was originally a Japanese vessel, but then it was sold to a Filipino company, to a Philippine company in the Philippines. So, yeah, they're just trying to get home for the holidays.
People commonly as chance passengers were able to acquire extra tickets when they had already boarded the ship, thanks to the scalpers who sell the tickets at a lower price to passengers who are cramming to buy one. The money would then go on directly to the pockets of the crew.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit of corruption there, a little bit of deal. Okay, get on the ship. We'll sell you the discount packed in rate, and then we'll just sort of put it in our pockets.
This small practice wasn't anything new, and it would prove to be one of the factors that would ultimately lead to the demise of the ship. Aludia Baksal, 18 and one of the few who boarded from Eastern Samar's stopover, recalled the morning as she had boarded the ship with her father Salvador Baksal. She decided to forego her school Christmas party to travel with her father and spend the holidays with him in Manila. Upon boarding, she immediately noticed the volume of passengers in the ship. It was noticeably occupied, and people were fitted into every inch of the open space of the vessel, leaving little space to walk around or find comfort to sleep in.
Oh, and now how is she telling this story? Oh my God, Flux just said, I just asked my boss about it. Her neighbor's dad died. Yikes. Oh. That sucks. Jeff, are the dogs bilingual? No, they're bilingual illiterate. They can't understand two different languages. Bulldogs aren't the clever. Well, they're clever dogs. They're just not the smartest. But she was able to tell her story because she was one of the survivors, one of the very few survivors. As we mentioned at the beginning, the estimated death toll was 4,385. And this girl that's telling the story, she was one of 26 survivors. 4,385-ish dead and 26 survivors.
Apart from the crowd, present also are the tons of cartons and baggage from the passengers itself. 4 people shared one makeshift cot, and hundreds sat on the floor of the 3-deck ship.
Yeah, 4 people in one bunk. That's packed in.
Later in the voyage, her father Salvador left her to tend to their belongings and went to the ship's kitchen to gather food. Her father was met with a stampede of people in the kitchen, each demanding a portion of food for their families. Lutgardo Nieto, 26 and a Philippine constabulary corporal, recalled something was off while boarding the ship. He, alongside 1,000 more military and police personnel, boarded the ship for their routine vacation return to Manila to spend time with their families for the holidays. Corporal Nieto also said he went back to Manila to follow up the papers for his promotion so his payout could be upgraded. They were still in their military uniforms and carrying their rifles along. Before they boarded, he noticed that the vessel was slightly tilted to one side.
Yeah, so when you're boarding the ship and it's already leaning to one side, it's already listing, yeah, that's a really, really bad sign. So they knew even before the ship sailed that there was stability problems. Barbie World says, did insurance pay the victims? Well, stay tuned. You'll get the answer to that question at the end.
It dawned on him that the vessel might be overloaded. He thought to himself that this was expected since it's the holiday season, and they went on as usual. settling in with the rest of his
Okay, so even the police that are on the ship are like, yeah, okay, it's the holiday. Just things are done differently in different places.
comrades as soon as they found themselves a resting place amongst several hundreds already boarded in the ship. December 20, 10:30 p.m., about 16 hours into the voyage and 200 miles of sea waters traveled.
And so they're about 2/3 of the way through this voyage at 10:30 at night.
By now, the ship is situated about 40 kilometers off the coast of Dumali Point in Pinamalayan, Oriental Mindoro, and has been traversing a steady rate of 14 knots. MV Doña Paz is currently steering the somewhat edgy and shark-infested waters of Tablas Strait, a 545-meter deep strait that separates the islands of Mindoro from Tablas and Romblon. The vessel was more than halfway on their journey already, and they were expected to hit the port of Manila by 4 o'clock a.m. the next morning. And with the last offshore contact made earlier at 10 o'clock p.m., the crew settled in their quarters. Families all across the crowded vessel snuggled in their respective areas, covering themselves in cots to keep them and their loved ones warm. Several kilometers away, MT Vector was steering the same waters, carrying 8,800 barrels of petroleum products, owned by the ship's charterer Caltex Philippines, now known as Chevron. At that point of the journey, it was steady cruising at a top speed of 8 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, so this is where the ships are starting to come into contact with each other. Late at night when everybody is asleep.
The small tanker left Limay, Bataan on December 19 at around 8 p.m., expecting to hit the port of Masbate the following morning. Sleeping on the port side corridors was Salvador and his daughter Aludia Baksal, alongside several lined-up passengers already sleeping. Salvador felt an urge to pee, and due to the lack of bathroom near him, he decided to relieve himself on the ship's front bow. It was at this moment he noticed an empty vector from the horizon on the left side, its bright lights piercing his sleepy eyes. For a while, he was in.
Yeah, so that's what's happening here. The ship is heading this way. And you have this tanker coming from the port side. So they're seeing the lights from the tanker vessel, but they're thinking it's just a fishing boat. Well, see, that's saying John Gord say they didn't have any warning lights. That's saying, yeah, they were just like waking up and looking. They saw the lights and went, oh crap. Well, maybe it's just a little fishing boat and it's farther away. But it turns out it wasn't.
Awe, thinking it was just a small fishing vessel. A few more minutes, and it dawned to him that it was a large vessel, and that it would crash into their ship. Bracing himself for the impending danger, he immediately rushed back to Aludia, who was still some distance from him. Then, a few minutes later, a large clanking metal sound was heard. Survivor accounts told stories of hearing what sounded like a rolling thunder, caused by the steel rubbing and piercing into the frame of the ship. Almost everyone on board rolled in their sleep as the empty vector collided with MV Doña Paz. At the time of the impact, nobody knew what was going on, as everyone was either already asleep or right about to do so. No collision alarms or warning signals were ever heard. Everyone was caught off guard wondering what just happened. MT Vector had just rammed near the port bow side, or the left portion of the ship near the front, leaving the engine room of MV Doña Paz wrecked open. The hull breach tripped the main switch and instantly caused blackout, plunging the ship into pitch-black darkness amidst the clear and dark open waters. Lutgar Doñedo was on the ship's upper deck when he heard this loud thundering sound. In an interview, he said, "It sounded like steel going clank, clank. There was a blackout. All the lights went out." Seconds after the collision and the ship blackout, the ship's front bow was getting engulfed in fire.
Yeah, so there's where we have the next major problem. You have a hole in the side of the ship, it goes black, and then it catches on fire. Because remember, this is an oil tanker it hit. Got 8,000 barrels of oil on it. Fire. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail, but that's let's do this. Let's pull this out just for a quick second. See if I can bring up the thumbnail here in a larger version. Sorry about this. Hang on real quick. Doña, where are you there? All right. We can do the share. I'm going to do this a different way. Why not? Okay, my brain was just rebooting there. I was thinking out loud. I mean, I was out loud in here. I was having a conversation in my head on the best way to do this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it as an overlay, because that's just easier to deal with. All right. This is the ship here. So, yeah, fire. What are you going to do? Fire, it's not out in the middle of the ocean. You don't want to be on fire.
Seconds after the collision and the ship blackout, the ship's front bow was getting engulfed in fire. It was at this moment that the terrified passengers knew what was happening, as the collision created an enormous flame, illuminating the dark surroundings, and was quickly spreading. Everyone started panicking and scrambling around, carrying their luggages and looking out for their loved ones, mailing everyone who were on their way to find an escape route to safety. Some passengers decided to run into the lower deck of the ship, believing it was a safe area from the fire. The children were crying. Adults scrambled everywhere left and right, while some collected their baggage in hopes of salvaging whatever can be saved. Within a minute, the engine room of MV Doña Paz exploded. Soon after, the front bow of the empty Vector had exploded as well. The explosion from the oil tanker discharged the cargo barrels in the air and into the sea, looking like Molotovs thrown out in the open, carrying with them tons of oil and spreading it to the waters of Tabla Strait. It did not take long for these fiery oil barrels to spread oil and flames to the immediate vicinity of the ships, creating a sea of fire right in front of the panic-stricken passengers of MV Doña Paz.
Yeah, so well, Green Lion Guardian is saying if there's a fire, you do not want to be in an enclosed space. You want to get out ASAP. Again, it's essentially it's a metal ship. You're creating an oven. Yes, you do want to get out. You do want to jump into the water. You do want to escape the vessel. But as they're just saying, all of these barrels of oil are literally catching the sea on fire. Where did this happen? Off in the Philippines. It's a Philippines accident here. So yeah, these barrels of oil are catching on fire, and it says they're setting things off. It's get out where into the freezing ocean. It's the Philippines. The water is not really that cold. I mean, you can still get hypothermia even if you're in there too long. But yeah, it's literally a sea of fire at this point. The oil's leaking out of the barrels, starting the ocean on fire.
To some already on the railings, the first thing that came to their mind was to jump into the waters and try to stay afloat for rescue, not knowing that the oil had already leaked.
Oh God! I mean, can you just imagine? For those of you that have seen shows like Vikings and whatnot, where they just lace the water with oil, and then they're swimming to get into the gates through the waterways, and then you go boom, and you light that on fire, and you cook everyone that's in the water swimming. That's essentially what happened here.
Their survival instinct tells them that the ship would sink in no time. The only safe place is the waters below. Everyone was unaware that they collided with an oil tanker. They just knew the fire was caused by the collision and its impact on the engine. Nobody knew jumping out in the waters would pull themselves into another form of danger, getting drenched in a heavy mixture of oil and water, with the ravaging sea of flames ready to catch up to them any time. But as panic and fear had already set in, hundreds and hundreds of passengers had already jumped into the waters from the railings.
Ugh.
A couple of survivor accounts told the gruesome events that transpired. Each had their own story why they were there on the ship, but everyone was in the same paranoia staring at their own mortality that night. Salvador Baksak, 44, and an experienced fisherman, immediately thought of jumping into the waters with her daughter Aludia. They were lucky enough to get reunited in the waters, despite the numerous had already jumped. He said, "Everything happened so fast. I didn't even hear a lot of crying. I think no more than 150 of us were able to jump to the water because the flames swept over the ship so quickly. Most people were asleep. After a while, it was so quiet."
That's just gut wrenching. After a while, it was just so quiet. 4,000 people, and then it just became quiet.
He also added that the ship shuddered to a stop as soon as smoke started seeping into the sleeping area. In an interview, Aludia described the scene as an inferno, a fire in the middle of the sea. Akito Osabel, 42, recounted the event saying, "The flames rapidly engulfed the ship like a wildfire, and that the sea around it was surrounded by a blazing ring of heat and flame." He was talking to his sister and three nieces when he heard a loud explosion. He said, "I went to the window to see what happened, and I saw the sea in flames. I shouted to my family that there was a fire, but the fire spread so rapidly that there were flames everywhere. People were screaming and jumping overboard. The smoke was terrible. We couldn't see each other. All I could see were the flames. I just jumped into the sea." Almario Balanay, 44, later described in an interview that the sea of fire may have reached about a kilometer wide. The three of them, alongside Moe Sapura, 37, and Generoso Batola, 29, boarded from Borongan, Eastern Samar, survived by outswimming the flames below as well.
Now, the one thing to note here, I mean, God, can you just imagine the panic that's going on here? 4,000 people dying, people trying to get off the ship, jumping over the railings, only to find out they're jumping into a literal sea of fire. I mean, what do you do when the ship is on fire and the sea around the ship is on fire? You're kind of fucked at that point, really. Now, there's also conflicting stories, I guess, they'll have to be resolved a little bit later, but there were either no lifeboat, no life vests, no life jackets on the vessel, or they were locked up. And there was no effort made to organize the passengers. But they did later find out that all of the life jackets were locked up in lockers. So, yeah. You're on your own. You don't even you get to you get to jump into the water. The water that's on fire. You don't have a life vest because you don't know where they are, and it turns out they were all locked up. And I mean, just can you imagine you're being forced to swim in waters that are on fire, full of charred bodies, trying to find something to use as a flotation device, trying to outswim flames. I mean, this is just I mean, it's utter chaos and devastation. I mean, this is just I mean, it's overwhelming the things that these people had to go through. The 26 survivors among the 4,385-ish dead.
They found themselves afloat in the middle of the blast strait as they watched the two ships burn and sink away from a distance. Zosimo de la Rama, 21, boarded the vessel with his sister-in-law Sally Alipio. He recalled the moments during the hysteria where he got stepped on several times, with passengers panicking. Despite getting staggered in the melee, he willed himself through the railings and decided to jump into the waters when he saw the fire. He said, "The whole place was burning. I heard cries for help, and I kept saying, 'God, God, why is this happening?' And then I imagined Satan laughing at all of us." After jumping, he found a floating log through which he swam into and clung himself, endlessly praying and hoping for any means of rescue. Eugenio Orot, 27, claimed he was one of the first few to immediately jump following the commotion. He surfaced hundreds of feet away from the burning ships and looked for his wife and two children, but to no avail. He was left in the middle of the sea floating for hours. Severino Carrion, 25, and a bus conductor from Catbalogan, claimed that the Doña Paz was so jammed with passengers that he was forced to sleep on deck while three other members of his family managed to find a space 3 floors below. He said, "I heard a very loud explosion. It woke me up and I saw the fire." Carrion was taking his relative to spend Christmas in Manila with a brother of his. He said that the oil tanker had plowed directly into the midsection of the Doña Paz before exploding, releasing the highly flammable petrol cargo over both vessels. Then I jumped into the water and swam for some hours, praying that the ship would save me. Samuel Carino.
Swam for hours. Again, I can't imagine that. Just sitting back and watching this ship burn while you're just trying to stay afloat for hours. Now, the ship sank in about 2 hours. So imagine that the ship goes down and you're still swimming, hoping that somebody sees you out there, hoping that a rescue ship just happens to glance at you.
26, said that he was on his way to the ship's canteen to grab a meal when he felt a sudden violent jerk, followed thereafter by a loud explosion. He said, "I went up on the deck and there were flames everywhere. I jumped overboard." Alejandro Esquita, 21, of Pasay, Western Samar, was on deck C, still awake in his cots. He was trying to muster his sleep when he heard people suddenly shouting as thick black smoke engulfed the entire ship, which became raging fire in a matter of seconds. He said, "I only felt a bumping sensation before that. But I am quite sure that it was MV Doña Paz that bumped the other ship, because if it was the tanker that hit us, it could have been louder, but no oil spills in just a few seconds." He also mentioned that as soon as the commotion and fire started, he joined the others who jumped into the burning waters and swam away. He also pinpointed that MT Vector was the one who first exploded, while MV Doña Paz was the one who was burning away slowly until it exploded and sank in the depths of the sea. MV Doña Paz sank within 2 hours of the collision, while MT Vector sank within 4 hours.
Yeah, so both ships sank, you know. Geez.
Despite the horrendous circumstances, luck may have smiled upon the passengers who willed themselves to survival. An inter-island ship called MS Don Claudio, once known as the Japanese ship Okonoshima Maru, was cruising several miles away. They were on their standard Negros to Manila route that night, when skipper Captain Melesio Barranco saw glowing balls of fire in the horizon from an estimated distance of about 8 miles.
Oops, sorry.
Discharged coal barrels when empty Vector's bow exploded. In an interview, he said, "We saw big flames as high as a 10-story building and lots of black smoke, just like a building on fire." However, with a top speed of 18 knots, it took them some time to get there, and when they did, they never had a visual of the two ships that collided, and instead found people, several dead, and some screaming for help, alongside hundreds floating around. He also added in an interview that, "We also guessed that there was a tanker involved because the water smelled of oil." It was estimated that the people who survived were floating in the middle of the sea for more than an hour when the ship arrived. Initially, the MS Don Claudio threw in a rope for people to climb on. However, some of the survivors claimed they were already too weak at that point to climb the rope, In an act of urgency,
Ugh.
officers of the MS Don Claudio began throwing their nets at the sea.
Again, so the rescue ship is there. What do you do when you've been trying not to die? You've been trying to stay afloat. You're trying to sit on, and then you just don't even have the energy, the strength to save yourself by climbing up the ropes. Duralon, thank you so much for the popcorn super sticker. Deeply, deeply appreciated. And Ocean Away 007, great video today, and Dog Cam made my day. The problem we've got is Yoda is just over. Okay, here we go. Yoda, come on out. Yoda's gonna. All right, there we go. Yoda's trying to figure out why strawberries in his box, but Doggo Cam is here. Barbara Vance says the Philippines didn't learn from the Doña Paz, sadly. Our friend's family was lost on the MV The Princess of the Stars ferry. 814 people were lost in 2008. But, I mean, that's a problem. A lot of people don't learn from these accidents. It's this one just crushes me because I mean, as some of you were saying in chat, sorry, let me block that out there. As some of you were saying in the chat, this is just the worst of the damned if you do and damned if you don't situations. What do you? No matter what you do, it's not gonna help. And that's kind of evidenced by the fact that only 26 people survived. And that wasn't all on this ship. 20, I guess, well, okay, there's 27 that survived, it looks like. 25 were from the Doña Paz, and 2 were from the oil tanker, the quartermaster and the second mate. So, yeah, 2 people from the other ship survived, and then 25 from the Doña Paz. That's how much of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation this is. And now, again, keep in mind that there's a liability issue that they still have to investigate and work out. And that is a fascinating thing. The legal side of this is really fascinating. Let's see how it goes.
For the people to climb on.
Yeah, we did the Shackleton expedition,
Andrew. From the waters, 24 of which were passengers of MV Doña Paz, and 2 were crew from MT Vector. After 3 hours of scanning the area for survivors, they finally ceased their efforts and continued their route while tending to the injured and needing medical assistance aboard their ship.
Oh, as Marv White says he's leaving. Marv White heading out. I'll leave you streaming. Buy those dogs some treats. Yeah, they just got a new box of treats due to you folks. They look like they're starving. Yeah, they just look hungry and undernourished, don't they? Speaking of which, there you go. All right, go to sleep, Yoda. You look tired. Thank you so much for that, Marv White. Deeply, deeply appreciated. Come back later and finish watching it. And let's see what happens to the people here.
Captain Barranco also mentioned there were 4 other commercial vessels scouting the waters when they left the area, but still unable to find any survivors other than what MS Don Claudio had rescued. They arrived at the Manila North Harbor in the early morning hours of December 21, with several ambulances waiting in line that were called by the ship a few hours earlier. When they offboarded the ship, survivors who had severe burns were brought to Metropolitan Hospital, some others to San Juan de Dios Hospital, and some to Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center individually. Those who were capable and did not need any medical assistance walked off and arranged transportation on their own, while some were met at the port by their relatives. Those who did not need medical attention but didn't have anywhere to go were left to fend for themselves at the meantime, waiting for the Department of Social Welfare and Development representatives to fetch them and provide temporary shelter to live in. The incident increasingly drew authorities and public notice early that morning. The lead government agency for handling maritime emergencies, Philippine Rescue Coordinating Council, were informed of the incident a full 8 hours after the time of the collision. At the time of the coordination, the handed down information was determined as secondhand and lacked concreteness for the agency to resemble any form of response. Only later in the afternoon that day, Another full 8 hours after first being reported was the information deemed complete and accurate. This was the only time the PRCC acted and mobilized a search and rescue operation, deploying the units of the Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Air Force, and U.S. Air Force into the Visayan waters. On arrival, the troops did not find any notable traces of the ship, except for floating debris and several dead human bodies floating, and no survivors within a few kilometers of the reported site. With that in hand, the rescue group focused on retrieving redeemable human bodies for identification and proper burial.
Now here's where we start to get into the investigation and figuring out what happened and who's to blame.
Within the next few days, bodies that were both bloated and charred have started getting washed offshore in Mindoro, and according to some reports, off the shores of Batangas. Local fishermen who helped with the retrieval operations came home with several corpses of the people they found in the waters. The Coast Guard has enlisted the help of these local fishermen and other water vessels to assist in retrieving the bodies that have been floating around the sea. After days of search and rescue operation, it was estimated they were able to retrieve around a combined 500 bodies, most of which were burned, bloated,
Ugh.
and in a decaying state that they were highly unidentifiable. There were also unconfirmed reports about a 4-year-old survivor found floating on a log off the coast of Mindoro, said to have been rescued by fishermen. The boy was not officially listed, but that could have been the 27th survivor had it been confirmed. By December 29, it officially listed the retrieved body count at 108, citing errors in the previously released count of 292 last Christmas Day and 133 the day after due to multiple reporting of bodies. As for the rest of the bodies brought by the fishermen, it became a problem for the local village. They have no choice but to carefully find a disposal place. Otherwise, the foul smell will cause harm to everyone's health.
Ugh.
Boat by boat, bodies came in batches, forcing some of the locals to dig holes in the sand to bury the bodies despite being unable to identify the victims. Some sprayed them with sanitizers and created makeshift structures to minimize the smell, while some of the bodies gathered by the Coast Guard were wrapped in cloth and transported to the nearest local morgue. Antonio Babijes, chief of the Rescue Coordination Center, said some of the victims may have been eaten by sharks or swept out to sea by strong currents. Days grew by and the local fishers scene encountered another gruesome problem. Fishermen reported hauling their fishing nets with traces of human flesh, either caught up in the drag or finding them inside the body of the fish.
Yeah, I mean that just kind of speaks for itself there, doesn't it? I mean that's how many people died in this accident, that when they say they could only get 500 bodies and the rest were just coming up in fishing nets in other inside of fish. Where was the question? Spooky Spoon asked how many people died. There's numbers. The numbers vary. The number I'm using is 4,374. There are estimates that it was up to 4,700. The problem was over 2,000 of the people weren't listed on the manifest, so we don't really know how many people there were. This is one picture of well, not really a memorial, of the warehouse, I guess, where they were keeping the coffins. Where is it? Yikes. Where did it go? Here we go. I mean, it's just in a giant warehouse. I mean, it's astounding, the scope of that. My hometown now maybe has 5,000 people in it. So when I think that like this accident would have killed every single person in my hometown, that's a big thing.
This became a huge concern, most notably when there have been reports of diarrhea outbreak and respiratory illnesses in the community. The paranoia was highly fortified and publicized when, in a newspaper article by Manila Standard dated December 30, 1997, Social Services Secretary Mita Pato de Tavera was quoted, "I've been avoiding fish."
Yeah.
This was cited due to a recent incident involving a fisherman catching a fish with a human finger inside its belly. "Except for bangus, which can be grown on ponds, I wouldn't want to eat any other fish, not in a long time," she added.
Uh,
Meanwhile, outside the confines of Sulpicio Line's office in Manila, thousands of people scrambled around looking for answers. They stormed the office demanding the list of passengers so they could confirm if their loved ones were one of those that got caught up in the tragedy. Hundreds of raging men and women cried, stood for hours, waiting for the officials of the Sulpicio Lines to disseminate factual information on what happened. Sulpicio Lines released an official announcement a few days later, saying that the number of passengers aboard the MV Doña Paz was not crowded. This included the official list of the passengers, as well as an announcement that the ship was insured for 25 million pesos, and it was willing to indemnify each survivor on the official list to amount to 20,000 pesos. This drew an ire of violent responses and enraged the people who deemed the shipping lines were hiding something, as well as demanding that Sulpicio Lines also indemnify the families of the passengers that were not listed. Arthur Lim, counsel for Sulpicio Lines, stated that, as the Coast Guard's released clearance for the ship, the manifesto has its records listed at 1,493 passengers and 59 crew members, an attempt to solidify.
Okay, let's put some numbers to this here. They said the ship was insured for like 25 million pesos. That's about in today's currency. That's about $465,000 US. And they said that each person they offered each person to compensate for the death of each person by paying 20,000 Philippine pesos. That's about $365 they offered per person. Don't know what that was in 1987, but at today's exchange rate, that's $365 that they offer.
On the grounds.
And see, then that's why they're having these uprisings and things. And this is something that I've had to personally deal with when dealing with maritime accidents, where there fishing boats, where big ships will hit fishing boats and fishing boat families will die and whatnot. They go looking for answers from the fishing boat owners or from the companies that caused the accident immediately. And nothing is going to get solved immediately, but the families don't want to hear that. And it's really, it's really a problem, because they want justice, they want retribution, they want compensation now, but that's not something that happens now. This is rough. This is and we'll get to the lawsuits and the compensation that was actually paid out here in a little bit.
That the ship has, and never was at any point during the trip, overcrowded. A few days later, they released a revised statement showing a manifest of 1,583 passengers and 58 crew members. They also started pointing the blame towards the empty Vector, citing their grossly undermanned and unseaworthy vessel carrying dangerous cargo.
Okay, now this is where we start to get into the really interesting thing. Well, first of all, just one thing to show you real quickly here from pictures. This here, this is a picture from Getty Images of people actually looking at the lists to see if their family members are among the dead or living. That's rough. There's just no way around it. That's rough. But this is the interesting thing from the liability perspective. They started pointing the blame towards the MT Vector, the oil tanker, citing grossly undermanned and unseaworthy vessel carrying dangerous cargo. Grossly undermanned is a gross understatement. Stay tuned for that story.
Vector, citing their grossly undermanned and unseaworthy vessel carrying dangerous cargo. Vector Shipping Incorporated, owner of the empty Vector tanker, immediately took notice of the finger-pointing actions done by Sulpicio Lines. As response to this, they released a statement regarding the incident through their legal counsel, Attorney Jose Sison. In their response, they stated that the overcrowding of MV Doña Paz was the main culprit.
Now this is where the lawyers get involved in, and this is where my job starts to become relevant. When you have to start figuring out liability, who's to blame, what the apportionment of the liability is, what percentage this vessel's liable, what percentage the other vessel's liable. Now, of course, that's the first thing you do. You just blame the other ship. So the overcrowded Doña Paz owners are saying, hey, it was them. They're unseaworthy. They didn't have a sufficient number of crew. They're carrying dangerous cargo. But the other vessel saying, well, hell, the main cause of this was they were, 8 times, I guess it was about 4 times capacity, given the new numbers. So, who's actually to blame here? So then you go through these investigations, where the accident investigations, the local transportation safety board things, or the Coast Guard will do it.
The overcrowding impaired the maneuverability of the ferry, and therefore severing any chances for avoidance of the collision. They cited that MT Vector was performing its standard collision avoidance procedures, but did not receive any response from the MV Doña Paz. And thus,
of course, that's the standard answer that everybody gives. We were doing our job; they were ignoring it. And I know I've mentioned this before. And I'm serious. When you interview these people on the vessels, you interview the crewmen. Everybody was doing their job on both vessels. The whole damn crew is staring out the front window, keeping a watch, looking for anything out of the ordinary on both vessels, and somehow they still seem to hit each other. And then as the investigation goes on, you come to find out that maybe that's not actually what happened. Maybe they were asleep. Maybe there's a party going on. Maybe they just weren't paying attention. Maybe they're doing something else. But that's the blame game. That's the pointing the finger game that everybody, because you don't want to be responsible for this type of an accident, but somebody has to be. Billy Aoki says, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. How many people died? Yes. And again, just to answer this question for those of you that may be joining late, anywhere between 4,300 people, 4,300 people, and 4,700 people. We're going with like 4,385. That's the number that I've been using. And Russell Fulton, so you know how you cook meat and it falls off the bone? When they fish out the bodies, does this happen? Gruesome question. You can. That's we'll just leave it there. Yeah.
The collision.
And so this is what they're saying. Oh no, yeah, we were doing it. We were doing everything we could to avoid the accident, but the big old overloaded passenger ship wasn't responding.
They cited that MT Vector was performing its standard collision avoidance procedures, but did not receive any response from the MV Doña Paz, and thus was not able to act on time. They also cited conflict of interest with the Coast Guard investigation, claiming it will never end up as Sulpicio Line's fault, as this will fall back to their hands, knowing they were the ones that provided MV Doña Paz clearance to travel.
Well, and that's an interesting thing too. They're claiming that they can't get a fair trial because the Coast Guard, who's investigating the accident, they're the ones that cleared the overloaded Doña Paz to sail. So if they say that the ship being overcrowded was responsible for the accident, then they're going to be pointing the finger at themselves because they shouldn't have let it go. That's the argument that's being made against the Coast Guard and against the Doña Paz people. Now, again, we'll talk a little bit more about rules there are rules of the road for the ocean as well. The same way there are rules for driving on the road, there are rules for interaction between ships at sea to avoid collisions, and we'll talk about that a little bit too.
Back to their hands, knowing they were the ones that provided MV Doña Paz clearance to travel. Attorney Pablito Rojas, representative for the dozens of the victims' families, backed this claim, saying the investigation is being conducted by the Philippine Coast Guard, and it was an official of the Philippine Coast Guard that cleared this voyage. I have serious misgivings about the progress and the fairness of this investigation. Then President Corazon Aquino called the accident a national tragedy of harrowing proportions, ordering all respective agencies a full investigation, and declared strict sanctions must be imposed on all parties at fault. She added, "Our sadness is all the more painful because the tragedy struck with the approach of Christmas."
And again, remember, this happened on December 20th, 5 days before Christmas.
An investigation by the Board of Marine Inquiry, spearheaded by Chairman Captain Dario Fajardo, followed, issuing a subpoena to MT Vector survivors, Second Mate Reynaldo Tarife, 41, and Quartermaster Franklin Bornillo, 26, in hopes of shedding detailed insights on what had transpired. Due to the magnitude of this tragedy, several government departments conducted separate hearings and inquiries to determine the cause and culminate a resolution for all the families left behind. Apart from BMI, separate hearings and investigations were conducted by the Senate Committee on National Defense, Philippine Coast Guard, and the Senate Congress, special taking in survivor statements as critical investigation points for what has transpired. In March 1988, the Board of Marine Inquiry handed down the fault on Francisco Soriano and Vector Shipping Corporation, citing its vessel as unworthy.
Okay, so that was the result of the investigation, was that it was the fault of the oil tanker, which, as the oil tanker company was saying, was what they expected from the very beginning. But what was the problem?
The grounds for being sea unworthy was because it was carrying dangerous cargo, referring to the highly flammable oil barrels, while having no necessary license or permits to operate and with a crew that had no qualified license to board the tanker.
Yeah. The ship that was carrying the oil tanker, they didn't have any licenses or permits to carry the fuel, the oil. And the crew was not qualified. There wasn't enough of them, and they weren't qualified to be working on tankers.
Necessary license or permits to operate and with a crew that had no qualified license to board the tanker. The MT Vector's master, Captain Celso Abella, did not have a chief mate license and was only qualified as a second mate, while the chief engineer had no license at all.
Yeah, the captain was only a second officer, and the chief engineer, he just was a dude. He just was a dude. That's all. Random guy, no licenses, no qualifications whatsoever, and they're sailing this ship that's essentially a gigantic bomb across the ocean. That's problematic.
He was only qualified as a second mate, while the chief engineer had no license at all. It also revealed that the oil tanker did not have a qualified lookout on the bridge.
And there's nobody watching. There's nobody on lookout.
These findings, they have absolved Sulpicio Lines of any liabilities with this decision.
So that's the interesting thing. Again, looking at the investigation, they said that there was only one apprentice member of the crew. He wasn't even a seaman. He was just an apprentice. He was the only one that was on the bridge of the ship at the time the accident happened. That's not the oil tanker. That's the Doña Paz. The Doña Paz, there was only one apprentice person monitoring the ship's bridge when the accident occurred. The other officers of the passenger ship, they were drinking beer or watching television in the rec quarters, in the mess and wherever else. The captain was watching a movie in his cabin. So that's a problem from the perspective of the passenger ship. Now, again, we have this massive list of casualties. Nobody is paying attention on the passenger ship, which is surprisingly, I won't say surprisingly common, but it's not unheard of. But yeah, the official Coast Guard investigation is that it was the other boat's fault because it wasn't seaworthy because they didn't have the proper licenses and registrations. They didn't have anybody that had the proper licenses, and their chief engineer didn't even have any license. So they were holding that ship responsible for the accident and saying that these, and this may be dodgy, I don't necessarily agree with it, but saying that the negligence of the Doña Paz crew didn't contribute to the accident. Okay, I just did see some numbers. Okay. The numbers for the value of the insurance isn't much different than we talked about earlier. All right.
Meanwhile, the Senate inquiry blamed both owners of the ship, as well as pointing out the lack of support by the Philippine government to the shipping industry. As investigation and hearings from multiple government bodies progressed, there were multiple critical findings that surfaced, all pointing out how none would have almost survived the tragic night. First is the conflict on the official passenger count. The official passenger manifest indicated 1,583 people, plus a crew count of 58, with 675 people boarded the ship from the initial port at Tacloban, while 908 boarded on it at Catbalogan. At the time, the declared capacity of the ship was 1,518 passengers and 60 crew members, which in itself indicated that there was an overloading already. This did not tie up with survivor accounts, which have been consistent in statements that the ship has been visibly crowded. On December 28, 1987, Representative Raul Daza of Northern Samar claimed at least 2,000 passengers were not on the manifest. This was a claim based on the names compiled from radio and television stations in Tacloban, which was reported by the loved ones of those who believed their kin had boarded the ill-fated vessel. This claimed missing passenger list was published in the Philippine Daily Inquirer for 3 straight days after it was publicly announced. By February 1988, the National Bureau of Investigation reported that there were at least 3,099 passengers on board. After a decade of court hearings and settlement claims, a presidential task force reported that there were about 4,341 passengers, plus 69 crew members, 58 from MV Doña Paz, and 11 from MT Vector. All in all, the unofficial death count before the turn of millennium was listed at 4,385. This discrepancy is easily tied up to a number of factors. 1. Children under 4 years of age are not listed in the manifest. Given that this trip is for the holidays, it was safe to assume hundreds of parents brought along their kids, and it was also proven through survivor statements. 2. As indicated earlier, scalpers who sold extra tickets inside the ship added to the conflict. An anonymous Sulpicio Lines official actually told the United Press International that because of the Christmas holiday, spare tickets were purchased illegally aboard the MV Doña Paz at a cheaper rate, and these passengers would then be left off the official manifest. The anonymous official also added that these spare ticket holders and their children were likewise not included. The two combined proved to be the issue when determining the actual count of the passengers, which hindered the authorities on determining how many actually died that night, an outstanding issue that lingers to this day. Second is the alleged intentional delay and changing of schedule by the crew. Marilu Bermejo, 36, and the rest.
I mean, that is just one of the things that just strikes me about this, that we will honestly never know. We will honestly never know how many people died in this accident. For so many reasons: overcrowding, not being on the manifest, not reporting the children.
Resident of Catbalogan claimed that Doña Paz arrived at the port at around 7 a.m. of December 19. It was scheduled to leave by 9 a.m. for Tacloban port, but for some reason, left late at 11 a.m. During the extra 2-hour period, the crew still allowed passengers and cargo to go on board. This was a change of routine since it was already established that initial loading was to be made at Tacloban and conduct a stopover at Catbalogan. Though not highly illegal, it was deemed that the change in routine caused more people and cargo to be loaded to the ship than usual, with accounts claiming there may have been around 1,016 passengers. Further investigation based on the reported coalition of those loved ones left behind totaled at around 2,187 already, drawing conclusions that the ship may have been overloaded even before it arrived at Tacloban. Third are the multiple findings of negligence from crew members of both vessels. Mori Sapura claimed that only him out of their group of 8, who boarded from the stopover in Samar, was manifested before entering the ship. He said he did not understand why and then they were just left to board the ship. Another act of negligence is when it was found out that the MV Doña Paz did not have a radio.
Did you hear that? It was found out that the MV Doña Paz did not have a radio. They did not have a radio on the passenger ship.
When it was found,
but they weren't they were found not negligent by the Coast Guard, who gave them permission to sail.
Found out that the MV Doña Paz did not have a radio. It became apparently clear that there were no means of immediate communication with any outside ship in case it was needed. Survivor accounts also told during the investigation that the life vest lockers were locked, which could have saved a few more, if not hundreds, had it been accessible during the emergency. They also mentioned that during the mass hysteria, none of the crew enforced any sort of emergency evacuation procedures to the passengers.
Yep, it was just
left
panic.
Everyone to fend for their own.
It was just panic.
And one could argue to be the worst negligence finding of all. It was found during the Philippine Coast Guard investigation that only one apprentice crew member of MV Doña Paz was left in control of the ship at the time of the incident. Corporal Lutgardo Nieto manifested this idea from the statement of a fellow officer he met while walking around about an hour before the collision. On top of that, there were loud noises coming from what the fellow officer found out to be the crew members of the ship. I heard music and laughter. They were having fun. Do you know that the captain was there at the party? The captain of the ship was at the party, the fellow officer told him. While not totally conclusive, it was deemed that whoever was at the wheel that time was not eligible enough to be in control. The Coast Guard investigation revealed that the chief and third mate were drinking beer, while the ferry's captain, Captain Eusebio Nazareno, was watching a Betamax tape in his cabin. The Coast Guard investigation, however, did not disclose the names of the mentioned crew members, nor reveal their location on the ship at the time of the incident. The official investigation also indicated our initial finding does not seem to indicate a great number of people boarded the ship, in excess of the manifested passengers. But we do have a report that when the Coast Guard had cleared the vessel and had left the ship, many people jumped on board.
So you can see the investigation may not have been the investigation that found that the tanker was solely to blame for this accident may not have been the most thorough and objective investigation that was carried out. I can see a lot of ways in which the negligence of the Doña Paz would have contributed to the accident. How do you not have a radio? That's one of them. Not having a radio, having an improper lookout. So the rules of the ocean, the rules of the road for the sea, essentially, are the same as the rules. You have certain patterns when you approach. Depending on the angle you're approaching another ship, you have to take certain actions. You have to keep a good lookout. You have sight, sound, radar, and every other means available to you for the prevailing weather conditions. You have to do a lot of things that it doesn't seem that they did. But the official investigation report was all the fault of the tanker.
The government mandated Sulpicio Lines to compensate the families of the victims, with each family eligible for an indemnification amount of 30,000 pesos.
It's about $600.
A processing center was set up in Manila, hosted by officials of Sulpicio Lines, to cater individuals with claims on their indemnity. They did remain strong in their statement with their official 1,583 passenger list manifesto, which had also announced that they are willing to indemnify the families of the passengers who were not on the official list, provided they can gather supporting documents that their kin boarded the vessel on that trip.
Now, that right there is the big problem. If they're listed on the manifest, you can prove they were on the ship. If you were one of the ones that bought the tickets from the scalpers, if you were one of the people that got on the ship with no documentation, nothing on the manifest at all, How do you prove that your person was on that ship? If you don't have a body, you don't have anything from them showing or proving that they were on that ship, you don't get compensated. And that is a truth that it's a thing in law. Who is right and wrong literally has nothing to do with the outcome of your case. Unfortunately, they don't look at who's right and who's wrong. They look at who can prove what. You ask for money because your loved one was on that ship. It's up to you to prove they were on that ship. It's not whether they were or not. It's can you prove they were on it? If you can't, no compensation for you. What do you do there?
Sulpicio Lines, however, required all claimants to file a waiver that upon receiving the 30,000 peso payment, they will absolve the shipping company of any legal liabilities. Claims totaled around 3,000, but Sulpicio Lines later found that there were fraudulent claims, citing some people used the incident to exploit money from the company. Some families did not pursue the claim because of the waiver, and later on decided to file individual legal cases to both Sulpicio Lines and Caltex Philippines.
So here's the legal actions. This is
Over
what
the
happened.
years, multiple lawsuits and legal actions had undergone between the shipping companies and survivors and families of the victims. In January 1988, attorney Pablito Rojas, who also lost a brother, a sister-in-law, and a nephew in the disaster, requested permission from the Supreme Court to file a suit on behalf of its pauper litigants. This was after the court ruled a $300,000 filing fee after attempting to file a $60 million class action suit on both Sulpicio Lines and Vector Shipping Corporation. He said,
You see, that's the problem. A lot of places, the filing fee is a percentage of the claims. So if you claim $100, your filing fee is a teeny tiny amount. But if you claim 30 million, $60 million, you've got to come up with a percentage of that as your filing costs. No win, no fee lawyers who take 90% of the compensation. That I've never heard of any lawyer anywhere, even in the most corrupt places, taking 90% plus of the compensation. The most that's like rational is 30%, 30 to 30, like up to a third of the recovery. That's normal and that's standard to take anywhere between 10 and 30% of the recovery. But who knows what the deals were here with these guys?
it is immediately evident that none of the plaintiffs, even with their combined resources, can afford to shoulder. No further action was done after their request. In December 1988, the class suit against Caltex and affiliate companies in Texas and in Louisiana was officially filed in the U.S., claiming negligence on the part of the accused for harboring an unseaworthy vessel to transport their cargo. The Texas class suit was dismissed after a few years, but the Louisiana case in the Civil District Court for Orleans Parish remained outstanding. Steamship Mutual, who provides passenger liability insurance for both Sulpicio Lines and Vector Shipping Incorporated, was also included in the class suit. In 2000,
Steamship Mutual is one of the big ship insurance companies. They're called Protection and Indemnity clubs. They're P&I clubs. They're essentially they're mutual insurance where all of the ship owners that belong to that club, they pay a certain amount each year to cover the expected liabilities during that year. And in this case, they insured both of the ships. And that's not uncommon at all to have the same P&I club, the same insurance company covering both ships in a collision, because there's an amazing amount of ships out there and a small number of the P&I clubs that handle the insurance.
2001, the Texas lawsuit was reinstated on the
Yes, it's
Regional
a risk
Trial
pool.
Court of Tacloban, which then
Exactly.
dismissed the suit on grounds of prescription. Additional complainants filed for a motion of intervention in the RTC of Manila, but were dismissed a year later due to lack of merit. The Louisiana lawsuit would remain outstanding until in March 2017, when heirs of the victims received checks equivalent to $4,343.
March 2017. That's 30 years. 30 years after the accident, they get $4,000. Plus interest, you know. Hey, I hope that's not including interest, because that's including interest. But I mean, right now, I'm trying to think the longest case that I have outstanding is a ship sinking, and 16. And that's 17 years. 17 years that's been going on.
When heirs of the victims received checks equivalent to $4,343, or about 218,887 Philippine peso, based on the exchange rate at the time of awarding. Representatives of Caltex International, Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation, Metrobank at Tacloban Astrodome, Samar State University Gymnasium in Gatbalogan City, and at Asian Social Institute in Ermita, Manila, were handling the claims on site, which happened on 2 batches, March 4 and 5. The third and last batches of checks released took place on March 11 and March 12 on the same allocated site. Attorney Leo Giron, president of Integrated Bar of the Philippines in Leyte, said the final decision was the direct result of an amicable settlement between Caltex International and the heirs represented by their American lawyers in the class action lawsuit. In October 1991, the Macasa family, consisting of Adelfo, Emilia, Timoteo, and Cornelio Jr., filed a complaint of damages arising from a breach of contract of carriage. All 4 were children of Cornelio and Anacleta Macasa, victims of the tragedy who boarded the vessel with their 8-year-old grandson Richie.
Mm-hmm.
The Macasa children prayed for an indemnity amount totaling 1.7 million pesos for projected income, actual and compensatory damages for lost assets and belongings, moral and exemplary damages, and for legal incurred fees. Almost
About
4 years later,
$30,000.
in May 1995, the Regional Trial Court Branch 17 of Davao City awarded a civil indemnity amount of 950,000 pesos to the family.
That's about
8 years after the
$17,000.
ruling, in September 2003, the Court of Appeals sealed the decision and exonerated Caltex Philippines from liability.
That's $0.
On top of that, a total of 250,000 pesos from actual and indemnity damages has been removed from the liability. The Macasa family filed a petition for review to the Supreme Court years later. It was then denied in July 2008, citing lack of merit and raising issues such as the lack of decision finality from the Board of Marine Inquiry and clear absence of credible eyewitnesses. In October 1999, the Supreme Court First Division ordered Sulpicio Lines to pay the family of 2 victims, 47-year-old public school teacher Sebastian Cañazal and his 11-year-old daughter Corazon. A total of 1.2 million in moral and exemplary damages, including lawyers' fees and projected future earnings, was included in the fine. The court
That's
also
about
held Vector Shipping
$22,000.
Incorporated and owner Francisco Soriano liable and ordered them to reimburse Sulpicio Lines Incorporated whatever damages, lawyers' fees, and costs the company was ordered to pay to the Cañazals. The court decision also absolved Caltex, as charter of the MT Vector, of any liability for damages under Philippine maritime laws. In September 2006, the Court of Appeals upheld a lower court ruling that ordered Sulpicio Lines to pay 14.9 million pesos to the family of geodetic engineer Maximo Lorenzo Jr., another victim to a tragedy. In a 51-page decision,
That's about $275,000 that guy got. So the engineer
Lorenzo Jr., another victim to a tragedy.
Okay. Yeah.
In a 51-page decision penned by Associate Justice Celia Librea Leagogo, the shipping company is liable to pay the inked amount broken down into the following: 13.8 million pesos as compensatory damages for Maximo's earning capacity, plus 1 million pesos for moral and exemplary damages, as well as 100,000 pesos for attorney's fees, and 50,000 pesos as indemnity payout. This CA ruling was a modification of the decision done by the Quezon City RTC Branch 96 decision, which ordered Sulpicio Lines to pay the aggregated amount of 12.8 million pesos,
Well, so they got
It
more
was
than they
cited
did the
guilty of
first
breach
time
of
around. That's
contract
good.
of carriage for failing to exercise due diligence on carrying Maximo Lorenzo to his supposed destination, a claim bound to a contract of carriage between the engineer and the shipping company. As for the rest of hundreds of families of other victims, the time, effort, and money needed to sustain a legal proceeding was too much for them to handle. Most of them settled with a 30,000 peso indemnity claim and agreed to the waiver clause.
See, and that's the real problem there. When you get people that don't have the resources to pursue lengthy litigation, that they don't have. I mean, they don't have the physical or mental strength to keep it up. And finally, at the end of the day, they say, "Yeah, I'll take $3,000 and promise never to sue anybody ever again, just to be done with it." I mean, that's a real thing too. People, Caltex at the time, I guess, Chevron now, but Caltex at that point, they had more money than the family, so they could keep the litigation going and they were eventually found not liable for anything to do with it because, hey, we just need someone to we need someone to carry our fuel from point A to point B. The ship owners for the oil tanker, again, is how do we want to put it? As well, we'll just say negligent. As negligent as they were, probably still have more money than all of the families combined and can afford to continue to appeal and appeal and appeal and appeal and eventually wear you down to where you just give up.
For others who already filed the case, they became frustrated with the slow judicial process and eventually decided to agree to small lump sums payments on off-court settlements.
And that is another big legal strategy to get settlement. You say, okay, I know you want, $1 million. Well, we'll give you $100,000. And they say, well, no, I want the $1 million. You say, okay, you want the $1 million. Well, we're gonna appeal and appeal and appeal up to the Supreme Court. We'll do whatever, we'll argue whatever we have to have. We'll drag this thing out for 10 or 15 years. During that time, you're going to receive nothing. We know that you're the main breadwinner for the family died. Gee, that's too bad. If you settled quickly, though, you could get your money and get on with your life and have some way to put food on the table. If not, we're going to keep it going until you can no longer afford to do it. And then you'll take less than the $100,000 because we're not going to offer you the $100,000 after today. That's a very strong arm tactic that is used. Do you want your 100,000 now, or do you want to try to get more later? And then once we've worn you down, we're not going to offer you the 100,000 anymore. We're going to offer you less than that. You should have taken the 100,000 when you had the chance, because now we're only going to give you 50. Wow, dog, what are you chewing on?
Sulpicio Lines would again be involved in 3 more major maritime incidents in a span of 3 decades, eventually earning the moniker Suspicious Lines. In an attempt to fend off the stained public reputation, the company decided to adopt a new name under Philippines Pan Asia Carrier Corporation, or PSACC. This was a resolution adopted in December 2009 by a majority vote of the members of the Board of Directors and stockholders. The resolution was then approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission on April 20, 2010 under the amended Articles of Incorporation, from which PSACC would be doing business under the name Pan Asia Carrier. The amended Articles of Incorporation did not disclose any specific reason for the change of corporate name. However, a month before the SEC approval, company VP Harold Go said in an interview that the change of name was the management's way of rebuilding the company image again after all the negative publicity. He said it was to have a fresh start, most especially after another maritime incident that happened just 2 years before. Pan Asia Carrier would also shift its focus on cargo shipments rather than passenger travels, as it embraces the new name.
Yeah, so that's a thing. You change the name because the old name doesn't mean anything.
Labeled as the worst peacetime maritime disaster in history, revealed a lot of shortcomings to both the shipping companies and the government support for the maritime industry. An outdated disaster response system, lack of ample government acknowledgement and modernization priorities, the rampant malpractice of corruption, and a broken system that allowed the unqualified to have the lives of thousands in their control, to name a few. It is imperative that existing rules and regulations are observed at all times, and if we deem certain rules and regulations need to be changed to cope with the modern times, then we simply should adapt as we always did. Lying upright at the bottom of the sea, with a depth of more than 500 meters, both the MV Doña Paz and MT Vector are a sunken, yet living reminder that safety is an utmost human priority.
Wow. Okay, and again, that
Today marks the
No,
26th.
go wait, back up.
as well as
All right, that's what we got to do. Now, again, this is the Stories from the Orient channel, and this is the tragedies and disasters section, the MV Doña Paz. Please go to the Stories from the Orient channel and check out some of the stuff. This is a fantastic video, and this was far and away the most informative of the videos that I watched on this subject. Absolutely well done, amazingly put together by a local Philippine person. So, I think it had a lot more detail and a lot more of the emotion that was involved in this story. It's as they're saying, it's the largest peacetime maritime disaster in history, and Stories from the Orient did an amazing job of presenting it. Please go and support that channel. Let them know. You maybe leave a comment on this video saying that you were sent from Legal Vice's channel, and that he did a great job on the video. Let's just kind of bring it up here and see. Come on. Oh, well, he looks like you've got about 20 subscribers so far from us. It was a 1.65K when we started. So, hey, that's great. If anybody else wants to subscribe to the channel, go on over there. Stories from the Orient. You can see there's a great selection of really interesting stuff here. There's latest. He has the popular section. There's 26 videos, so you can watch them all pretty easily. And they're great stories. So check that out and let him know that Legal Vices is there and that you subscribed because of me. So that'll encourage him to not make a claim against my channel. But it is a great channel, and I want to thank you for presenting that video. Let's see, we got a couple of things here to get through. Where are we at? Okay. Oceanway 007s, do you follow Ruben the Bulldog on YouTube? Start your doggo's a YouTube channel. I heard bulldogs are very high maintenance. Yeah, they're just terrible. I mean, their health is terrible. They've been just so genetically twisted by humans for the last 100 years. There was actually a campaign to start trying to breed bulldogs back to the way they were 100 years ago before people started screwing with them. And essentially they decided that the breed was too far gone to be bred back to where it was. And they just have the most amazing health problems. And you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars in healthcare per year with owning English bulldogs. But I've been ridiculously lucky with these two guys. They're very, very healthy. I mean, I take them to the vet about twice a month to get their ears cleaned because they just like licking each other's ears and giving each other ear infections. So it costs me about $100 a month in medical fees, and they tell me that my dogs are ridiculously healthy. So good job, guys. Stay that way. But yeah, they are high maintenance, and it's a genetic crapshoot. You just never know what you're going to get with a bulldog. They can look happy. They can look happy and wonderful, and then they can just go boom, lights out. Tigger, my son is having surgery this morning and will be in the ICU for at least 4 days. Dang. Thanks thanks for the distraction, legal vices. Well, I'm glad I could provide some sort of a distraction. I mean, this isn't the happiest and most cheerful of distractions, but I'm glad I could do that. And best wishes for absolutely everything for your son. You know, it's a big thing. I hope everything goes very, very well. Let me send one quick. All right, sorry, I had to. Best of luck, Tigger, and best of luck to your son. We'll be here tomorrow and the next day as well if you need some entertainment. Barbara Van says, I'm just floored. I expected an interesting story today. Now I found out that this went on for far longer than we knew. Yeah, 30 years later, the lawsuits are ending. I mean, that's crazy. And talking about the settlement fees, you do realize that American companies and courts often surprise attack Americans. Will say just as hard, right? No, I was talking about that globally. That's how a lot of lawyers handle settlements. So it's not. I'm not just saying that's a Philippine thing. That is a strategy that lawyers across the world use. You sue someone into bankruptcy. You lowball them, and then if they want to fight, you just keep going and going and going till they can't afford to pay any more their lawyers anymore, and they have to drop out, and then you double lowball them with the next offer and say, well, you should have taken it the first time we offered it. It's a thing. It's not a good thing, but it's a thing. You're creeping me out, Strawberry. Like staring into my soul. Just well, shoot. AA Ron says the American Bulldog is close to what the English Bulldog used to be physically. Ish. Very, very ish. Just Jeff, how was Friday stream was awesome. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Andrew's son, resident crapster for some reason. I just don't understand why. Anyway, whatever. It was a lot less than average, but still about 2K. Legal Vice jokingly said viewers were being tight arses. No, it was, we were spot on the average where we usually are. It was an absolute successful Effort Friday. And of course, that's the whole point of the Effort Friday. It's a griftathon. That's what I do every Effort Friday. Tell people how tight they are to throw their money at me. I do that on the one day, so we don't have to do it on any other days. Everything after that is just icing on the cake and your generosity. But yeah, it was very successful. And as I said at the beginning, I think our little plan for raising my raising the shot ceiling to 200, but also going to a much higher proof alcoholic beverage than usual worked out, because we still got goofy and fun. We still got the super chats, and I didn't want to die the next day. So it did, because 2 months. Well, last month it took me until Tuesday to be mostly right again. A good 12-hour sleep, and I was good to go. So thank you, everybody, that participated in the Effort Friday Griftathon 36,000 subscriber celebration last month. Let's see. Oh, we just read that one. We read that one as well. And yep, okay, that was it. Now we're here at the end of the show. We can sit here and chat a little bit if that's what you want to do. I've got another few minutes that I can just sit and chill, and we can have a happy Monday little wind down session here. Do English bulldogs bark with an accent? Your liver will thank you, Jeff. Yes, it already did. Because it was last month was rough, because I think last month's Effort Friday was the most successful Effort Friday ever, with like 35 shots. So YouTube takes their 30%. So it was like a $2K deal for the month, and I paid for it. That sucked. It really did suck last month. There was nothing good about that. So that's why I decided I had to make that little particular change. But next month is the 1-year anniversary of this channel. How weird is that? That still freaks me out. It still freaks me out that I've been doing this a year as of next month. Daily Quick Buy says, you want to talk about the self-defense case in Texas and the pending possible pardon. I haven't been following it. I don't know. I literally know next to nothing about it, but Andrew Branca over at Law of Self-Defense has done a bit on it. He's written some stuff and has talked about it a bit. I understand. So yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and there was the fight milk too. Ugh, 7 fight milks. Yeah, last month was a bit extreme, and I just can't do that anymore. I just can't. But I said this last Friday was just about perfect. Oh, apostate Amanda, long time no see. Welcome. It's good to see you here in chat. I hope you are feeling okay today. So good morning. Just waking up and heading to the kitchen for my coffee. We're glad to have you here. We're just starting to wind down. Thank you for being here. It's been a while. Yes, wow, a year Legal Advices. That's right. It'll be a year next month. That is so weird. Jeff, when do you take them for walks? Yeah, see, that's the good thing about English Bulldogs. This is sort of their default setting. So if I take them out for walks, they're like, ugh, do we have to? Then when they get outside, they're okay. They don't mind going outside for walks, but if you skip a day, they don't really care. So mostly at night when you want to get back from work, take them out, let them walk around for a bit. But they're only good for about a 10-minute walk, and then they're like, all right, we need to go back home again. So we maybe like 500 yards. That's kind of their maximum setting. Like, yeah, it's time to go home. Yeah, it's just a stroll around the hood. They're not really walks. They're happy pretty much just like making one lap around the building. But to get them the real exercise, I walk around 3 or 4 buildings. So, and yeah, no, this is their default setting. They do this like 20 hours a day. They're good little dogs, though. I want to make sure that we got all the super chats. I think we did here. No, yes, we did. Wow. These Maritime Monday disaster things are just rough. You just doing all the prep work. We're just reading about all these horrible things and going over it and over it and over it and over it and looking at pictures and doing more research, watching different videos. Whew, it's a bit taxing. It's good to kind of decompress here and have a good time. I'm searching to see if there's anything else to add to that. No, okay, there's a list of the survivors. They found the wreck in 2019. Okay, well, do it once a month then, Jeff. No, Maritime. Well, the only problem with Maritime Monday is I'm afraid I'm going to run out of Maritime Monday stories soon. I mean, still there's a whole bunch on the list. It's just trying to keep them entertaining. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them. Yeah, I don't know. We'll keep it going as long as we can. Why not? I just hope we can keep it going for a while, but there's still plenty of accidents out there. Cannibalism makes everything entertaining. Yeah, anytime I can get my hands on a good cannibalism case, we'll talk about that. Right. Hey, Kaiser. I know I've seen you here earlier. I just wanted to say howdy. I know you've been here. The Byford Dolphin incident with Aussie guest. The Byford Dolphin incident. I don't know what that's about, but I think I do know what it's about if it involves Ozzy and a dolphin. Uh, and speaking of Ozzy, again, as I mentioned, starting next week, he and I, we are going to be doing a new trial with sort of how we did with the Anderson trial, the Zachariah Anderson trial, where I'll be taking the morning session, he'll be taking the afternoon session. That'll be starting next week. We'll be giving an announcement on Wednesday for that, I think. And tomorrow, again, you want to join me for this ridiculous library story. It's pornographic literature in your children's library in this particular school district. And they have a whole board meeting on why these books are in the library and why parents are freaking out that they shouldn't be there. And the parents read excerpts from the books at the board meeting, and they are off the damn hook. Letters to Penthouse are kind of what we're looking at. Essentially, it's rough, and it's in the children's books. And Megan Fox talked about him. She did this last week, and it's age restricted on her channel. So yes, Pa Nerd Parent, is Megan Fox involved in this as well? Yeah, Megan Fox will be stopping in for about an hour, the first hour tomorrow, because this was her reveal. She sent me the video and she wanted me to be on the panel, but I had to work that day. Corn Pope says the board meeting was horrific. Exactly, and it's been adult content flagged, and so it's just going to happen on my channel too. So, but it's important. And again, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, this is what's weird. Is it's getting adult content flagged by YouTube for talking about stuff that this school board is letting young children read in the libraries. They can read this pornographic stuff in the and this isn't, I mean, it's pretty freaking graphic. You'll see tomorrow. But these children can read this in a school library. But I can't talk about it on YouTube without getting age restricted. How freaking weird is that? You guys have to be 18 years or older to see it, but these little children can go look at these books and learn all about what human bodies can do with each other. It's pretty wild. You'll just tune in tomorrow and you'll see. It's pretty freaky. Yeesh. Wednesday, not sure what the main point is going to be, but it'll be something topical. Thursday, OJ Simpson Day, more Dennis Fung, because that's what it's all about. Friday, might just do another chill stream Friday. I like doing the chill streams where I get to spend more time. I mean, just chatting with you guys, talking about things, updating. When we'll probably give a little bit of a background on the trial that's going to be starting on Monday. And then we'll do another Maritime Monday on Monday and start the trial. So there we go. That's what's coming up. Yeah, the world has gone completely mad. I mean, if you want to know how mad the world has gone, really, come tomorrow. I'm going to be putting up the thumbnail for tomorrow's show in just a little bit. But let me show you this is the thumbnail that's going up. Let me put it up here. Keep forgetting I can do these overlays, so I don't have to keep sharing screens. There we go. Thumbnail for tomorrow. Yeah, this is the thumbnail for tomorrow. It's uploading here. I'll be able to show it here in just a second. This is how bad it is. That's the thumbnail I'm using. Oop, let's get this out of the way. The Bonnie Eagle School District Horror. This is the thumbnail that's going up in a little while for tomorrow's stream. I mean, you know how degenerate I can be, and I'm telling you it's bad. That's how bad it is. It's bad enough that I'm saying it's bad. Yeah, reading is fun and mental. Barbara Vance, absolutely. We're 2 hours and 9 minutes into this. I guess we can give you the Barbara Vance preview. Yeah, little kids need to know about butt plugs and stretching. That's one of the books. And that's not even one of the bad books. Yeah, that's not even one of the bad books. Legal Vices, can you do me a favor and start an hour later for a couple of weeks? I'm headed to PDST and 6 a.m. is a little early. PDST. What's PDST? Huh. PDST. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's what. Yeah, I don't even call cannibalism a horror. Cannibalism's understandable, but yeah. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. I see. Yeah, no, it's after midnight here, so that's a good time for me to sleep. We'll pull the plug, so to speak, in about 15 minutes. Yes, she did mean Pacific time. It's Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Oof. Oh, and for those of you that are wondering about the Daybell trial, that should be starting here in just a little bit. Danny On is up in Boise, Idaho now. She got her ticket to attend the hearing, so she's going to be in the hearing, taking notes, watching it, and then she'll be giving the rundown on her stream after it closes. And what they're doing with that trial, if you're following and didn't know, they're not showing it live. They're releasing audio the day after the hearing. So the audio for day 1 will be released in the evening of day 2. Day 2 audio will be released in the evening of day 3, etc., etc. So Danny will come and she'll be on her channel talking about what happened in court, and then I believe she'll be doing the audio once it's released. So for those of you that are wondering about the Daybell case, that's how that's going to be covered by her. I don't know who else is going to be covering it, but I just know that that's what Danny's going to be doing. Anything else? Huh. See, this is what I mean. Yoda's just done. Yoda's done like 2 hours ago. And as long as I sit here and talk, Strawberry most likely won't go to sleep. She'll just kind of nod off for a minute and sit up. I'm seeing who is live right now that we can forward ourselves into. Hey, Barney Yummum, welcome. I just noticed you here. Damn, I'm going to have to rewatch. Yeah, please rewatch this. Yeah, she's tweeting about it right now. Who is live now or going live soon that we can redirect ourselves to when we shut this down? I'm looking at my redirect screen here. Live. Bring up today's show. Excuse me, sorry. Customization. That's the bar I need to go to. Redirect. Add. Who is live? Is anybody live right now? All right, everybody in chat, I need you to do me a favor here. We have Uncivil Law. How many people are here right now? There are 344 of you here now and 529 likes. That's really great, guys. Thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that. Now, let me go back through here, and I want to scan back through the super chats. Okay, we do from Chance. Chance, this was like 2 hours and 10 minutes ago. Hope you're still here. Chance, who's been a member for 1 month of the Clean and Sober crew, says, So you are saying my cash helped with a blackout? Yeah, I didn't black out. You just helped me with a very, very nice buzz. And starting us off, Cerberain, welcome to the Clean and Sober crew. If you're still here, 2.5 hours later, I say we can do a Kurt raid. So I think that's what we'll do. It says he's live. So we can do a Kurt raid if you want to do a Kurt raid. Go ahead and wait for us to wrap it up here. If you don't, when we wrap it up, you're free to go your merry old way. But the only person that shows that I can link to that's live right now is when does Ozzy go live for his Rittenhouse thing? Let's see. I'm not sure when Ozzy goes live. Anybody know when Ozzy goes live? YouTube. Ozzy Overlord. Ozzy Overlord will be going live in exactly 3 a.m. 3 hours, 2.5 hours from now. Sorry, Hayden. I'm not staying here for 2.5 hours just so I can forward things into you. So it looks like Kurt is the lucky winner. So when we wrap this up, please let Kurt know that his illegal vices raid. Wait, you're going to watch Judge Manning. Where's Judge Manning? Wait, hang on. Time out. We can do that for 10 minutes. I'm going to watch Judge Manning too. So I hope you didn't actually leave to be Flair. I will watch Judge Manning myself because why not? See, Judge Manning is great. Like almost all of her daily court things are fantastic, but she doesn't save the videos. And that frustrates the hell out of me. Other judges will keep them up for a day or two so I can download them, but she's not one of them. Hers are up for just like minutes after they close, she gets rid of them. Judge Manning is a damn hoot. So I'm going to bring up some Judge Manning here, and we can chill and watch some Judge Manning for 10-15 minutes. What do y'all say about that? All right. Well, let's see here. For those of you who don't know Judge Manning, she's in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. Great judge. She's tough as nails. She was a police officer for a bunch of years. Now she's a judge. I just love watching her. She's a hoot. All right, these are preliminary hearings. Okay. This is the Judge Manning stream.
See if it is.
All right, we're caught up. Are we caught up? Somebody say something. Hey, Flux. I thought you disappeared. You were just being quiet. So, of course, nobody's saying anything over in Judge Manning's courtroom. That's great.
Because it's allegedly on the same address. Sorry, I'm trying to flip through these as I go.
This is Judge Alex Manning down here in the bottom corner. He is an absolute firecracker. All right, let's embiggen it.
All right, so we got 25,000, 10,000, 10,000, 15,000, 5,000.
Oh no, she's dropping a
Two gang
bomb.
charges, right?
2 gang charges.
Yes, Your Honor.
100,000 per gang charge. Best of luck to you, sir.
Oh Jesus, she just dropped
If I
him
may,
for like
Your Honor, my
$250,000
client's indigent.
$1 million
That's
bond.
tantamount to not setting a bond. He's not going to be able to make a bond like that. I just wanted to remind the court that he is.
I don't think Manning cares.
Right. If the gang ADA was here, they'd ask for 1 million per gang charge.
Well, I'm glad they're not here. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Graham, I'll be talking to you. I'm going to do a birthday visit with you, okay?
And you'll be back May 1st, okay? Is there any other cases we need to get on that date, Ms. Clark?
Why
don't you email
let me check my list of folks.
See, this is why I like Judge Manning.
Yeah, why don't you
Your gang guy gets a $250,000
email
bond.
in the chat, and that way
And the lawyer complains and says, "Well, be lucky
we
it wasn't
can
the other prosecutor
try to
get
help
$1
each other.
million
Some of these
per
get
charge."
falling through the cracks, and we want to keep up with them. So, and if you got ones that have been wearing an ankle monitor longer than a year, please, email to and also get back on account.
Thank you, Judge. I'll do
All right.
that.
Ooh,
Okay, and I
Officer
have your email,
Strapping.
Miss Watts. Let me write it down real quick.
The security guy,
Other
he's
guy,
just looking
officer
at
supposed to
himself
be in
on
the building.
cam.
He's right there.
He's here, Your Honor.
Come on up. You can sit over there at the prosecutor table.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
You
Yes,
sheriff?
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We just got to wait on Majeski to come back now that he's up and
Look at him just flexing there on camera.
Does that look right? Yeah, bring it once.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Indigo Luna's on the radar now. She saw Officer Hanson there. Yeah, the bailiff was looking at the bailiff's arms.
30,
$1 million. This is Georgia. Judge Manning is so fun. So for those of you that are wondering what happened to Maritime Monday, we finished it, and we're just kind of chilling here with Judge Manning for a few more minutes before I go to sleep. Here comes Officer Studley. What if he purposely is wearing a shirt 2 sizes too small? Officer Flags. It is Fulton County. You are correct. Because
McCully, what would you like for me to do with these waivers?
she's going to tell people to get out on bond to never come into Fulton
email them
County.
to me, Your Honor?
Okay.
You got a question? No, I was saying so. Oh, I was rapping.
Huh. All right, something's got to happen here before I go to sleep. All right, well, you can just all stare at Officer Studmuffin here.
$1,300 like
Wait, did he just drop an F-bomb in court?
No, I love my car.
Judge Manning staring into your soul.
True. I gotta plan the truck. How everything. I told myself I'm gonna get there. Mother everyday care. But Billy should want it back, man. Cause it's a recall on it for the game. And so yeah, I basically want it back.
Come on, ladies. Calm down, Indigo. Breathe.
Extra money back to the bills. You know, you look busy.
Old Kareem McCully there. He's keeping cool with his ceiling fan. We got a nice shot of the ceiling fan there. All right. I don't think we're gonna get any court hearing before I have to pull the plug. But just in case, we'll keep this run here for a few more minutes, and we'll chat with you folks. Happy 1 year, Jeff. It's gone so fast. It has. And Corn Pope says happy 1 year anniversary. Not there yet. It's only like 10 and a half months. I subbed 1 year ago, and now it's my favorite channel of all YouTube. Oh, thanks. That's so sweet of you to say that. And before everyone leaves, I do want to say a super, super, super great thanks to the mods, and a super great thanks to everybody in chat that's come and gone during the day. And thank you so much for the generous super chat. For activating Doggo Cam. We'll make sure they get some really nice treats next time we go to the store.
They're gonna have to come with it. They're gonna live gonna have to come by 80. Yeah. You gonna have to tell 80. Yeah. Gonna have to tell. Hey, like I told you.
Oh, he isn't that built. His shirt's just that small. He's built enough for some of y'all. Yeah, that would be fun if we could raid Judge Manning.
All right, now we're ready.
All right, we're ready. Uh-oh.
Thank you for your patience, Judge.
Oh, no worries. The officer just got here.
Thank you for your patience, Judge.
Looks like I got lucky that a messy calendar up there today. Everybody's got something to say about their case.
Love Manning, she has a Bucky's cup. Yeah, Edward M. Lockwood. Didn't realize close to a year. Thanks for all your efforts and quality,
Yeah.
Jeff. Glad you've been here. Oh, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I was just like, I'm just here for status. He's like,
Yeah, let the chat pick the treats. Bulldogs like have a million food allergies. There's actually very few treats they can eat.
All right, so this one's, is it Quinte Sanders, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is position 6.
Pretty much anything with animal
22213-108, Quinte Sanders, 182 days without indictment. Looks like there is a $2.3 million good bond on possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 182 days in jail without indictment, by the way, if I didn't say that. Theft by receiving stolen property, unlawful for a person to be employed by, associated with a criminal street gang or participate in criminal street gang activity. Unlawful for a person to commit the offense with the intent to obtain, earn, or maintain or increase status. Unlawful for a person who occupies criminal street gang position, organizer, supervisor, management. Unlawful for a person employed by or associated with the criminal street gang to conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity.
It's gang
Unlawful for a
day.
person to commit the offense with the intent to obtain, earn, maintain, increase status in a gang. Unlawful for a person who occupies a criminal street gang in the position of supervisor, organizer, or management. Unlawful for a person employed by associated with a criminal street gang can conduct or participate in criminal street gang activity. Unlawful for a person to commit the offense with intent to obtain, earn status or membership or increase status. Unlawful for a person who occupies a criminal street gang position of organizer, supervisory, or management. Let's see, raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony about to give is truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, if you can scoot a little bit closer to that microphone and then state your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Holy crap, that's a long list of charges.
B-A-R-I-O-U-S. Last name starts S-T-A-R-K-S.
All right, go ahead, Mr. McCulley, and we'll address bond at the end.
Yes, Your Honor. Is it detective or is it officer?
Detective.
Hey,
Detective
detective,
Starks,
see
where
that
are
thing
you
right there
currently
next to you? That's a
employed?
microphone.
City of Atlanta Police Department gang unit.
And how long have you been employed with them?
12 years with the department, 2.5 years with the gang unit.
And
Somebody tell him to talk into the microphone.
were you employed with them on October 1st, 2022?
I was.
The gang unit, can you please tell me about your training?
Yes, I have over 100 hours of training, specializing in gangs. We document, notate, prosecute, and interview dozens and dozens of gang members on a daily basis, weekly basis, and yearly. So my job is to
Yeah,
document.
I do have a few ancient videos up from the old motorcycle
We have
days.
documented with the Atlanta Police Department to see if gang charge is applicable.
And how many gang arrests have you, or gang investigations have you been involved in?
Well over 100.
And to the best of your knowledge, how many gang members or alleged gang members have you personally interviewed?
Well over 100.
Okay. Yeah, that was a lot of offenses for a $3.2 million cash
And
bond.
can you discuss any
gee.
specialized training that you had specifically for the gang unit?
Yes, we took some California-based gang training, prison gang training. I'm a member of GGIA, Georgia Gang Investigations Association. And we take, of course, the Atlanta Police gang training.
Dude, use the microphone. Come on. Go, Officer Quidjibo.
And can you tell me about your knowledge of the criminal street gang Goodfellas?
Goodfellas.
I've been investigating Goodfellas gangs for like the last 2.5 years. Actively investigated them because I'm assigned their subset, play for keeps. So Play for Keeps is a subset of Goodfellas, so they go hand in hand. So I kind of deal with that with both names. Yeah.
And can you tell me about the street gang Goodfellas?
Yes, Goodfellas it started off as a Fulton County gang, and they primarily hang out at 195 Fathom Road, 213 Fathom Road. They used to hang out on Delmar Lane before it was shut down. They commit violent acts such as homicides, drug sales, aggravated assaults, robberies. And they have maybe 100 or so documented with the Atlanta Police Department.
And have you been personally involved with investigations into the Goodfellas?
Yes.
Have you been a lead detective in regards to investigations into the Goodfellas?
I took maybe 1 or 2 cases here and there, yes.
Okay.
And when you say you monitor them or investigate them, what does that entail?
Like I stated, they hang around certain areas. So when crime happens in the area, we go out and interview witnesses, victims, and we monitor social media as well. And we have informants to tell us stuff.
And can you please discuss more about social media?
So social media is a way to plant the gang, promote it, to get people to join, to show fear. So sometimes they post their crimes and they have their monikers on there to represent their gang.
And do you have you seen that in regards to the Goodfellas gang?
Yes.
And is there anything specific in regards to the Goodfellas that they do to identify themselves?
Some people have the number 76 tattooed on them. The 7 stands for G, and 6 stands for F. And they call each other WOA. Sometimes they tattoo NFL, never forget loyalty on them. They say they operate like the mob, so some people have the word mob tattooed on them. This is just a few identifiers they have, and they like to wear 76 jersey from the NBA.
Okay.
Huh.
And
This YouTube this YT DLP thing looks really, really complicated.
at this time, Your Honor, I would like to submit that this officer is
We need to
expert
talk.
in regards to
It looks
criminal
ridiculously
gang.
complicated.
Counsel.
I mean, I don't object, I don't see the point, but I don't know, for the purpose of this prelim,
Okay.
but I reserve my right to object to any relevance, anything on relevance as we go, Judge.
Okay. Go ahead.
Objection. I
I'll
don't
just
see
say
the
it right
point.
now, but go ahead.
And Detective Starks, how did you become aware of Quinante Sanders?
Yes, sir. I was working a job called Boogaloo Nightclub. My coworker observed Mr. Sanders get out of the vehicle, and she knew that he had active warrants. We called Unison to apprehend, I think his name is Mr. Zacharias or something like that, Sanders, for his warrants. And he was detained and they took him to jail. They had the K9 come out to do an open air search on the vehicle that they arrived in. It smelled like marijuana. So they recovered traces of marijuana, and on the floorboard, you can see 2 handguns in plain view. We reviewed the cameras and we saw Mr. Quinte Sanders get out the passenger seat of the vehicle, and the other Zacharias or Zadarius Sanders get out the driver's side of the vehicle. We ran the guns. One was stolen,
Daenerys Targaryen in the vehicle.
and
What?
one was not stolen. And it was determined that Mr. Quinte Sanders was a convicted felon out of Fulton County Jail. I mean, out of Fulton County Superior Court.
And where were the guns inside the vehicle?
On the passenger floorboard in plain view.
What? Where are the guns?
And you stated that the guns were stolen. Did you get in contact with the victim?
I did not.
And can you please describe the charges that's associated with the criminal street gang and the warrants for Mr. Sanders?
Yeah, so the predicate act was possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And we charged him with A, B, and C, I believe, on each gun.
And did you retain the video from that you reviewed in regards to this case?
I don't have it, but my coworker does have it. Yes, it's on the jump drive, well, hard drive.
Gun in the passenger side door. Okay. In the weed mobile.
And were you able to associate Mr. Sanders with the street gang?
Yes, he's documented with the police department.
And can you please describe that identification?
He's seen throwing up Goodfellas hand sign. He has the OMF, which is owned by family. His Instagram post, as far as his bio on social media, you can put words on there. And he chose to put OMF. I think it's OMF _ midnight or something like that. He has black hearts, which sometimes they use as their color. And he's seen with other gang members throwing up gang signs in Goodfellas territory.
Throwing up gang signs. That means he's a gang member.
And what does that mean? So if I was to happen to be in that territory and I threw up that sign, would there be any consequences?
If you're not a part of the gang, yes, you can't false represent the gang.
And people who throw up that sign, can you please explain a little bit more? What does that mean?
I can't make the sign, but it's like they throw up a hand sign and they forms a G and an F with their hands.
There you go. See, that's a good cop. He's not going to throw up the sign because he understands. He gets it. He knows why they do it. He respects the sign.
And you said he was associated with other known gang members. Do you
Yes.
happen to know any other names?
He was actually with a gang member the night he was arrested. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And we have him documented as far as paperwork with other gang members. I don't have that in front of me right now.
Judge Manning looks unamused.
Did you speak with Mr. Sanders during this investigation?
When Mr. Z. Sanders got arrested, he stayed around. It was just like a brief conversation. And he walked away on scene. So after the arrest, I didn't talk to him.
So all this to figure out if they're going to reduce her bond from 3.2 mil. I doubt
I
it.
have a moment, please, Your Honor.
Mr. Majeski.
Go.
Yeah, Judge, I think he asked for a moment.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't hear. Did he
Sorry,
ask
Your
for-
Honor, just a quick moment, Your
Oh,
Honor.
moment. I was like, I thought he said I had no more. I barely heard him. Thank you.
Come on, Kareem. Hurry up. Stop wasting the court's time.
And
I'll say to Amanda. She wants
Detective
to hug and kiss the fur
Starks.
babies. They're so adorable.
were you the warrant writing officer in regards to this case?
Yes.
And you had previously discussed the interactions in regards to the gun. Do you recall the owner of the gun name?
I don't.
If you reviewed your warrant, will it refresh your recollection?
Yes, but I don't have a warrant in front of me, but if I did review it.
All right.
Your Honor,
Come
may I have
on.
permission to share my screen?
Sure.
Right.
Can you see it from where you're at, Mr. Majeski? Okay.
Uh,
Affidavit for arrest.
I have all of these, Judge.
I forgot about the big television. I was making sure you could see what he was showing.
Your Honor, is everybody able to see it?
Yep,
Yes.
we can see it just fine. Go ahead.
And Detective Starks, are you able to see it?
Yes.
And
Jarvarius
can you please
Starks is
state
his
the
name.
name of the victim who had their gun stolen?
Louise Enrique Winston or something.
Can you please spell that for the record?
Luis, first name, middle name is Enrique. Last name is Wences.
And did you speak with Mr. Wences?
I did not.
And can you review your warrant again and refresh your recollection?
Okay, I did. Okay, yes, I did speak with the owner. I spoke to the owner of the handgun and advised he did not give Mr. Tucson's permission to have the gun, and he does not know him. So I did. I'm sorry.
And were you ever able to determine a?
We're just watching some
friendship
Judge
or
Manning
any
here.
kind of relationship between Mr. Sanders and Mr. Wences?
I was not.
Oh,
To the
this
best of
isn't
your
going
knowledge,
anywhere, and I'm getting tired.
Was you able to determine, did Mr. Sanders have permission to have the gun?
Mr. Winston said he did not give Mr. Sanders permission to have it. He does not know
And
Oh, just end your question.
thank you.
All
Couple more
right.
questions, Your Honor.
Go defense. It's your time to shine. Come on, grumpy old white man. Let's go, grumpy white man. Make your arguments. Nah, we just have to. The defense is going to try to figure out. He's going to ask some questions. He's thinking right now. Oh my God, what am I going to ask? This shouldn't be too long. As soon as this gets resolved, then I'll pull the plug here. It shouldn't be more than a few minutes.
And you had discussed.
Oh wait, I thought he said
you
nothing
have 2
further.
warrants for possession
Damn,
of
he
firearm
needs to
by a
speak
convicted
clearly.
felon. Do you recall the felony convictions that Mr. Sanders have?
Never mind.
If you reviewed your warrant, would you be able to recall the felony convictions that he was convicted of?
Yes.
Judge Manning is
Judge,
giving her
helps out
on
with
board
the purpose
face.
here, and I want to stipulate he's a convicted felon.
Okay, he's stipulating that he's a convicted felon.
No problem. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any questions for the officer or
Several,
investigator?
Judge, thank you. Good morning, officer. Can you hear me okay? State, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, sir.
Judge, I assume you can hear me okay?
I can.
All right.
It's Goodman, you got it?
I can hear him okay, but I can't hear the witness really clear.
None of us
Okay,
can.
maybe you need to slide to that middle chair, okay?
Yeah, maybe you need to slide over in front of the microphone, you friggin' idiot. Cops are
There you go.
stupid.
Go ahead.
Thank you. With regards to these 2 firearms, you have no idea how they found their way into that car, do you?
I don't, they were transported by the people who drive.
Turn the microphone on.
I think you misunderstood my question. The question you answered was, how did they get to the Boogaloo place, right? They were transported there.
Yes.
What I asked was, you don't know how they got into that car, do you?
It had to be whoever's driving the car and the passenger. Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, so you have evidence that, or a witness that Mr. Sanders put those 2 guns in the car.
No,
So the answer to my question would be no, you don't know how they got there.
they got there by the people who was driving the car. And,
Okay, so you got an evidence or witnesses
no,
of people who were driving the car, put those guns in the car.
no,
All right. Neither of these firearms, especially the Hellcat, had any kind of engraving on them saying property of whatever, right?
no,
And you don't know what circumstance whoever put them in the car acquired that firearm through, do you?
no,
You don't have any sort of evidence that either of those firearms were used in any way in furtherance of any kind of gang activity, do you?
They're used for offensive, so you don't have to use it, but having possession of it.
Okay, listen to my question.
Yeah, listen to
Either of
the
those two guns, they were not used, to your knowledge, in any kind of gang activity, correct?
The gang members have guns for protection, so that's why I put the gang one on
That's
the
not the
predicate.
question.
Okay,
The guns.
all criminals have guns for protection. These particular guns, were they used in an aggravated assault?
Objection, asked and answered, Your Honor.
No, he didn't.
He already said
He
what the
did
guns is
not.
for, Your Honor, and why. He asked the question 3 different ways, Your Honor.
Judge, as the court knows, and as the state should know, in order to sustain any of these charges under either A, B, or C of the gang statute, there's got to be some evidence that possession of these guns had something to do with a predicate act under the gang statute. I'm just trying to figure out what it is, because in the warrant, it's just a bunch of conclusory statements about why gang members might have guns in general.
Right.
I'll let it go a little bit further.
You don't have any evidence that either of these two guns were used in the commission of any crime, do you?
Possession of the firearm by a convicted felon is the crime that I took the gang once out on.
Okay. You don't have any evidence that that had anything to do with the gang, correct?
Can you ask the question a different way?
Okay.
No.
Was my client seeing any kind of Instagram posts with either of these two guns?
No,
Was he seen discussing either of these two guns with any gang members?
no,
Was he intercepted on any kind of telephone calls talking about these two guns with any kind of gang members?
no,
All the evidence you have is that he merely possessed these two guns.
yes.
But you didn't take these two guns off of him, correct?
They were where he was sitting in the car.
Okay.
That's not the question.
Do you understand my questions?
Yes,
Do
Apparently
you
not.
understand what off of him means?
I understand that. I've told you where I got the guns.
Your Honor, that's badger than witness. The witness is
No.
answering his questions, and then he's answering them, Your Honor. I believe that the detective is intelligent enough to answer the questions, and
Apparently he's
understanding
not.
what's going on. To
Okay.
to understand the questions is disrespectful, Your Honor.
He's answered the question. We'll ask another question.
Neither of these two guns was on his person, were they?
Not on his person, no.
Okay, you don't have any evidence that he was aware that they were on the floorboard, do you?
They were in plain view, so anyone could have seen them if they sat right there.
So you have a witness that says they saw him looking at these guns?
I saw the guns when I walked up to the car on the floorboard, so his
like
foot would
this
have had to
defense
be on
guy.
them, and he would have seen them get in the car.
Okay, do you have a picture of these guns where they were located before you moved them?
We took pictures of it, yes. I don't have them on me now, right now, though.
Do you have them in your possession somewhere in your case file?
Yes.
Tablet law. I actually like this defense lawyer. I like him.
Actually, Judge, you know what? That's all the questions I have.
Okay, anything else from the state?
Yes. How many people were inside of the vehicle?
If I can remember, maybe a female in the back, but I can't remember. But I know for sure, a driver and a passenger.
And the driver and the passenger, were they associated with any criminal street gangs?
Yes, good fellas.
And were you able to determine if Mr. Sanders was a member of the Goodfellas?
Yes, I was.
Was you able to determine if the other, if the driver was a member of the Goodfellas?
Yes.
Okay.
No further questions, Your Honor.
We can hear you. Don't whisper so loudly.
Just a couple more questions. I'm sorry. How recent is the intel that you have that Mr. Sanders was involved with Goodfellas?
Objection, Your Honor. Mine was limited to his identity, and that's outside the scope of my redirect.
I don't think there's any rule that says I can't do it. All I'm saying is, he's saying, are you able to identify him as a member of the Goodfellas? I'm asking, how recently were you able to do that?
I mean, that may be going in. And I don't know, that's gonna put some informants in danger or something like that.
I didn't ask him about any informants. I just said, how recent was your intel?
Your Honor, that is beyond the scope. We did not talk about intel. We did not talk about, he talked about his social media what he saw on the social media,
Hey,
the
Victor, what's
pictures that he
up?
saw there, and how he was able to connect him with the Goodfellas. He's asking for things that's not even
Digger
the evidence
420
as of
in the
right now,
house.
and he's way beyond the scope of my redirect, Your Honor.
All of which are intel.
So I guess, it's simply, is he a known documented member of Goodfellas to you?
Yes, he is.
And I just want to know how recent that information is. I'm not asking for any informants. I'm not asking for any CIs. I'm not asking for anything but how recent that information is.
Is that current information?
Yes, it's current.
There you go.
All right.
Anything else?
No, Judge.
Mr.
Nothing to
McCauley?
say, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for this officer?
Nothing from this officer. Thank you, officer, for showing up.
Thank you.
And you probably had to go through a lot of traffic to get here. Just truly
Stay
appreciate it.
healthy and safe up there, hopefully. Hopefully you can get
All
in the HOV lane or Peach Pass going home.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I say he can release at this time, Your Honor.
All right, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, we were able to go ahead and identify him as a criminal street gang member, identify him through the pictures, through the signs he was putting up. He was associated with multiple gang members through his social media account, hanging in the areas of a known drug area, throwing the signs up at the time, and that's only done by the criminal street gang members, Your Honor. Also, he arrived at the scene with another known person, Your Honor, that was a part of the same criminal street gang, Your Honor. Video actually showed him inside of the vehicle on the passenger side, and the two guns was there that were in plain view. The officer
Nice
was
try,
able to
defense
go
law
ahead and
guy.
determine that a warrant was necessary, and you were able to see the guns from the street and actually see it. It was only one
Yes,
person. that was
ADA's
on the
assistant
passenger
DA,
side,
Mr.
and that was
Enzo.
Mr. Sanders. There was only one person that was actually over there, and that was Mr. Sanders. And they were in his possession. They were able to go ahead and associate him with the street gang by his activity, by the person he was with, and by the actions he have done on social media and live pictures that the officer was able to tell, Your Honor. I ask that you find probable cause for all the charges that are before the court.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Majeski.
And Judge, I'm sorry I'm a little animated about this because I heard a lot different stuff than I did the last time we were before the court where you said a $2.6 million bond. But 2.3. I first like to address the easiest thing in the room, and that's dispositive as a matter of law. If the court were to take a look at Wells versus the state, 268 Georgia Appeals 62, possession of a firearm that's stolen is not enough to sustain a charge.
Waifu
of theft by
Kron in
receiving
the
stolen
house.
property,
Welcome.
absent any kind
Yeah,
of circumstance
you are
that
so
shows
late.
the defendant knew or should have known that the firearm
We're
was
going to wrap
stolen.
this up in just a bit.
There are none
Great to have
in
you
this
here. though.
particular case. The only evidence we have is arguably possession, and that's it. I asked the court to find no probable cause on that charge.
Yeah. Not gonna
Now, the criminal street gang activity stuff, there were all this scary stuff in the warrants about how my client supposedly a hitman walking around with these guns, supposed to do aggravated assaults and murders and armed robberies and all this other stuff for the benefit of the gang, and that's why I had them. There's no testimony about that here today. Testimony is he arrived in a car that somebody else was driving, and these firearms were found in it. Under the law, and this is true for section A, B, and C, which he all took warrants for, and we'll start with C, it shall be unlawful for any person to maintain directly or directly through criminal gang activity or proceeds derived therefrom any interest or control in any real or personal property of any nature, including money. Well, that one's easy, Judge, because the officer, when he decided he was going to answer my direct questions directly, says that he's got no idea how those guns got in the car or how they were acquired. So there's no evidence in which you can sustain that kind of criminal activity because it requires that it had to have been through criminal gang activity or proceeds from criminal gang activity, and there's no evidence of it. As for subsection B, it shall be unlawful for any person to commit any offense enumerated in paragraph 1, 1615(3) with the intent to obtain or earn membership or maintain or increase his or her status or position within the street gang. First of all, the only evidence is if you believe the officer, that he's a member of a street gang, so he couldn't have been possessing them to earn membership. And there's no evidence that he possessed them to increase his or her status in that particular gang.
Hmm.
So that's got to go away as well. Number one, it shall be unlawful for any person employed or associated with criminal street gang activity to conduct or participate in criminal gang activity through the commission of any offense enumerated in paragraph 1, 1615(3). Once again, this is where we get to the decades-long litigation we've had over this statute and trying to criminalize hanging around with other people. You got to show some kind of nexus between the possession, even if you believe he's a possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, that somehow that had to do with something with his gang membership. It does not, and there's no evidence that was put up by the state that it was. Absent that nexus, and it's required, there's no probable cause to believe the possession of any of these guns, either of these guns, had anything to do with his alleged involvement in Goodfellas. So I asked the court to find no probable cause on all of the gang counts, the theft by receiving count, and I'll admit that for the purposes of probable cause, it is there for the 2 firearms, just as far as probable cause goes, but the rest of this stuff, there's no basis in law or facts as you heard him today.
I like this guy.
Yet has kept this man in jail since October 1st, I believe, of 2022, with a higher bond than I've ever had on any case involving an actual body. So, as far as probable cause goes, that's my request, because it's not a clever argument on my part. But people are used to hearing, trying to justify some court of conduct, or this comment means this. It's the law. That's what it says. Thank you, Judge.
I like that guy. He's gonna lose, but I like
He's
it.
muted. You're muted.
I
Apologize about that.
really like
In
it.
regards to the first 2 charges, he has already said that he will go ahead and admit that he was a convicted felon in possession of firearms. Your Honor, we had testimony. We had testimony that he did contact the actual owner of the gun. He actually made contact with the person, tried to go ahead and see what was the nexus between the actual victim and Mr. Sanders. It was no nexus there, Your Honor. He was in the direct possession of it because it was right literally underneath his feet, Your Honor. So he knew the officers followed up in regards to the guns, in regards to the theft that it did occur, and knowingly having a firearm that is underneath your feet, you could have if you had an explanation, you had a chance to give it, and he didn't give it at that time, Your Honor. It was aware that they were there. He was basically standing on them while he was in the vehicle, and he was aware that they were in his possession and aware that they were not his because he did not claim he did not explain how they were there, and he was basically standing on them. In regards to the criminal street gangs, Your Honor, he is, in regards to let's go with a lawful person who is associated with a criminal street gang. That's obviously true. It was through social media that he was associated with them. It was through his connection with the other person in the vehicle, Your Honor. It was 2 known Goodfellas members driving in together, arriving together, coming in together at that time, Your Honor. That is associated with criminal street gang contact, and so that is right there in regards to that they are together at the same time, Your Honor.
I like this guy.
We know that we are there. We know that we have seen him on social media, and we also understand that he has already been associated with this criminal street gang, Your Honor. And he is also a person that since he is known, that means he is associated with it, and he is and employed or working and doing work for that, Your Honor. I say that the state has shown more than enough evidence to show that probable cause should be found in all charges that are before the court at this time.
All right. So I guess it's your position that people who are allegedly members of Goodfellas don't give rods to buddies that aren't Goodfellas?
No, my position is, Your Honor, is I believe that since they were there and they were there at the same time, and you are with a known, you are with a known gang member, you should actually know that the person that you're associated with and what you're doing. And since you are there, that's two criminal street gang members that's associated and possibly doing the wrong thing, Your Honor.
All right. I'll find probable cause on all the counts. It's 2.3 million. Let me hear, let's be heard on bond.
I love Judge Manning. The pre-trial.
You're on mute, Bostic.
And he's disappeared.
Pre-trial.
That was a good one. I like that one. That was a good
Bostic.
pre-trial.
Yes. You want his history, Judge?
There you go, Bostic.
Okay, his history, Judge, he has 11 prior arrests. He's on parole violation. He has a prior parole violation, prior 2010 robbery, hijack, aggravated assault, open case 22 SC 184685, meth, firearm by a convicted felon. And with the feds, he has unlawful transportation of firearm by 2015 and 2017, filed by a convicted felon. Nothing further.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Go ahead, Mr.
Wow.
Majeski. Are this your parents, your mom, or something? These family of yours?
Family members back there, yeah, Judge.
Okay. Do you want me to hear from them, or are they just here?
They're just here. Let's wrap it up, Judge.
We don't want to say anything. We just want to sit here.
Well, here's the thing, Judge. When I was down here, or on the Zoom, about how I was lying and minimizing my client's participation.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, we're not able to hear him.
But
Is it green?
there you go.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear him when he went to the podium, Your Honor.
Can you hear now?
When I was here for the bond hearing, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
State told me I was lying and minimizing my client's involvement in any kind of criminal street gang activity. We heard he's the leader of the Goodfellas. Been doing all sorts of stuff around Georgia. This is important and everything else like that. What do we find out when we come to the preliminary hearing and start getting the evidence? He was riding in a car with his buddy with a couple of guns that at trial they're not going to be able to prove he knew was stolen. It's just a matter of law. And if the judge instructs the jury on Stripling versus the state, 304 Georgia 131, won't be able to get him on criminal street gang activity either, because there's no nexus with his possession of these guns and any kind of criminal street gang activity. And I say that to highlight the fact that a $2.6 million bond should be reserved for extraordinarily dangerous people. There's been no evidence presented here today that my client is an extraordinarily dangerous person. He hasn't been in trouble for several years, other than the current case he's got pending with Judge Carnesale right now, and other than the one violent felony he's got convicted of. That's all he has on his record. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He's lived in the Atlanta area for his entire life. He's got family that actually showed up for a preliminary hearing, which is about the 5th time I've ever had in the entire 18 years I've been doing this. They run 4 businesses: a logistics company, a storage company, a car restoration company, and I believe a catering company. And he's got 2 children that he provides for. He's got no FTAs.
Failure
no
to appear.
Revocations that we've heard from pre-trial. And doesn't seem to be out there doing anything except for working. So, Judge, $2.6 million
3.
because the state came in here and told you without evidence that he's some kind of kingpin is not warranted in this case, Judge. I asked the court to reset his bond, taking into account his criminal history at $75,000. I think that's more than sufficient and more than appropriate in this particular case.
What?
To
What
accomplish
waifu
the
cron?
only thing
What
bond
is
designed
what?
to do? Ensure his presence at court, which he has no historical problem with.
Okay.
All right. Mom, did you want to say something?
No,
Sister, sorry.
no.
No, wife, y'all are just here supporting. Okay, thank you both. All right, what says the state?
There was a third lady here earlier, Judge, but I think she had to go someplace.
Okay. Sorry, I can't really see you guys back there, but sister and wife. Okay. All right, thank you for being here. Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. The state was right then. The state is right now. The state will be right in the future, Your Honor. Your Honor, it is a known criminal gang. He was with a known another gang member. At that time, he was known. We are concerned. We are concerned not only as what the officer said in regards to the homicides, the murders, the drug abuse, and what happens in this community, Your Honor. And he not only is he a part of it, and he has continued to go ahead and do it, Your Honor. We do have open cases. This isn't a choir boy, Your Honor. This is somebody who's rolling around with two guns, and he has other open cases in a federal
Maybe the
case,
choir
Your Honor.
boys roll
We
around with
cannot
two guns. You think of
minimize
that,
what is
huh?
going on. So it is not the fact that the state is trying to do anything that is wrong. We are trying to, number one, protect the public, and number two, protect the public property. And also, more importantly, we also have another pending case right now. We are concerned that he will commit other felonies, Your Honor, and if he will actually return for the actual hearing, Your Honor, because of the implications if found guilty, Your Honor. That's our concerns. At this time, we will say that the bond is appropriate, and we have already stated our concerns, and we would object to any decrease in the bond at all, Your Honor, and we will defer to the court in regards to the amount of what the bond will be.
And what's that going to be?
Is there a bond on the indicted case? The Carnicel, do you know?
It has been. It's never been revoked, Judge.
Oh. Well, there was a bond surrender on 123.
Well, I could fix that. I didn't know about that.
You see that? Yeah, on January 21st, there's a bond surrender from A Rapid Bonding.
Well, it was just a bond surrender. The bond order is still in place and haven't been revoked. I can just have make a new bond on that one too.
Yeah, I don't know if just looking.
But the state's never moved for or been asked for a bench warrant in that case or to revoke his bond.
All right, let's see. Let me get back to this one.
Come on.
Let's see, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no further contact with Lewis, L-U-I-S, last name W-E-N-C-E-S. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. Stay away from Boogaloo. That's at 239 Ponce de Leon. No further contact with Zacharias, Z-A-R-Q-U-I-R-O-U-S, Sanders, S-A-N-D-E-R-S. Stay away from any gang members and any gang members of Goodfellas and only my family or any other gang members. No social media. Let's see, trying to remember if I'm getting all those from the.
So many restrictions, can't keep them all straight.
Replicas, no social media or any other gangs, not just those gangs. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the. Do you want that or one of the teletricks? Mr. McCauley,
I'm sorry, say it again.
do you want that or one of the teletricks monitors?
The Teletrix don't monitor, Your Honor.
The
Oh.
teletricks.
Get a choice of monitors. That's nice.
We have the wording for that in a bond order. Did you get that, Miss Miller?
Yes, Judge.
So you know the wording for the teletricks?
Oh, no, I don't know the exact
It's
wording.
only 1
Okay,
o'clock in
hold
the
on.
morning here.
I think Miss Robinson has it. Send it to me. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, that was part of the instructions. Stay away from the Boogaloo.
Let's see. see if I see.
Come on, Judge. Give us your decision. It's time to go sleep. And Curtis quit streaming, so we're not going to be dumping into him anymore. We'll just be saying good night. Here in just a minute, as soon as Judge Manning comes down with her ruling. Come on, Judge.
Or on their special language, it goes in there for that one.
Waifu Kron inviting people into her Twitter circle. Now, I love Judge Manning too. I usually watch her on Law Talk with Mike, but on the late nights I'll watch her when I'm not streaming.
And I'm reaching out also, Your Honor, just in case the other unit has that information.
Yeah, there are certain language. I'm just trying to find where.
Come on, Judge, you should have this memorized by now.
Think.
Just don't forget to say stay out of Fullerton County. I had mac and cheese for lunch yesterday, Flux. There you go. And on Nick's suggestion, I made it I made a mac and cheese burrito out of it. That was pretty damn good. And then I went for like a with the seaweed, like a sushi roll thing. I went for like a sushi roll thing.
Let me
Made
see.
mac
I want to
and
make sure
cheese,
this
and that wasn't as good as the burrito. The burrito was like 100 times better than the seaweed wrapped mac and cheese. Yeah, it was a macaroni and cheese, chicken breast, and extra like put some like Tillamook pepper jack cheese in it too. That was pretty darn good. Oh, it was too many carbs for me too, but I sure as hell enjoyed it. Judge is killing me. Just say what the bond is going to be. I don't care what the paperwork says. I'm an hour after I wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah, drive me crazy.
I reached out, Your Honor. Hopefully they'll hop on, and I went to the whole unit, so hopefully somebody hop on soon.
Yeah, there's certain language, and I swear that Embry, I think Travoria got it the other day. That's what I'm looking forward to see where she has it. I think she emailed it to me.
Okay, I'll reach out to her, Judge.
Let's see. So this is like a watch as opposed to an ankle monitor, so it's not as
ankle monitory.
Let's see.
Oh, I
Don't
don't
from that guy.
I don't think she's going to reduce it at all.
What's that?
I met the guy that does that out in Carrollton one time.
Yeah, let's see.
Yawn. I saw a vid the other day. You put tortilla in a pan and then cook eggs
Okay,
on
here's
top of
one,
it. I do that quite a bit.
I think.
For a good little
Here's
breakfast.
Miss Miller.
burrito.
Miss Miller, here's one. I think it's like a sample.
All right. Oh, hi there.
So I'll
What's
send
up,
it to
Miller?
you. I'm looking.
Judge Manning, let me go to sleep. I'm invested. I wish I would have just turned it off an hour ago when I said, now I'm invested. I can't go until you tell me what the bond is going to be for this person I've never heard of and will never hear of again. Why can't I be this focused on other things that actually mean stuff in my life?
Let me know if you get it, Miss Miller.
Hey, Shiz. Shizzy Wiznut in the house for a few minutes before we shut this down, if we ever shut it down.
Yes, Judge, I have it.
Okay, so that's what needs to say there about. There's a couple ones. Anyway, so look at the email that it'll be supplied by. Funded by the counties, just like this order. So you'll see it. So it'll be a Teletrix monitor or GPS monitoring instead of putting removed by it. Anyway, so it'll be that. And here's what I'll do. Sorry, I had to find
Okay,
that correct.
here we go.
It's new to me here. 15,000 on count one, 15,000 on count two, 10,000 on count three,
35.
and all those are 250,000. I'm reducing to 1,000,
What?
100,000.
Okay.
So 100,000 on each of those. So 4 through 12 is 100,000 apiece. Got it?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you, sir.
Wow.
I just sent this, the email to Ms. Willis to like get them indicted. I put my list on there.
Holy crap. That went down from 2.3 million
right?
to
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we're back at 1 o'clock.
dang.
So you then.
That was a hell of a reduction. Jeez. Oh, there's a
And it was position 10.
where the hell is my window? I need to just I don't need to see this anymore. I'm going to sleep.
3 North, booth 3, have a seat. Gentlemen, have a seat, have a seat, have a seat. Everybody have a seat.
Okay, Judge.
Sentencia todos.
Oh, we
All
have
right,
a
everybody,
translator
this is what I
too.
like to call a you problem tonight. This is not your mother's problem, your grandmother's problem, your baby mama's problem. This is all a you problem. 5 North, booth 2, look up. Look up. I need to see everybody's face, okay? Y'all need to pay attention, okay? Because I'm going to be addressing your bond. I'm going to give you conditions for your bond and things you should and should not do. Maybe I'll put an ankle monitor on you.
Oh, this
Maybe
is
I'll give
from
you a
3 days ago.
curfew.
Cool.
So you need to pay attention. This is not Helen's House of Hair. I don't want anybody, twisting their hair, mashing their pimples, looking outside, anything like that. I need you to pay attention. I understand it may be medical calls. So if you need to step out and get your meds, that's absolutely fine. Don't put your head down. Pay attention. Tonight, we're only addressing bond. We're not addressing guilt or innocence. You're all still cloaked with that presumption of innocence. There will be no need for you to speak. Your lawyers don't want you to speak. It's almost like first appearance, pretty close to first appearance, okay? So no need for you to speak. But what we need you to do, if I ask you a question, I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down because you're on mute. I can't hear you if you talk, no matter how loud you scream. So if we ask you a question, thumbs up or thumbs down. Everybody got it? Give me a thumbs up. Let's see some thumbs. Thumbs, thumbs, thumbs. Looks like 7 North, booth 3. Maybe he didn't have volume or he just didn't want to. 7 North, booth 3. Can you hear me? I don't think 7 North, booth 3 can hear.
I'll open up another booth. So
Anyway, I don't want to get down this rabbit hole.
So we got
Let's
Jenkins
wrap.
here, and we got Mr.
I
Cho.
don't want to get around this bond hearing
Pretrial,
rabbit
I
hole.
got Miss Aaron. All right,
So, all right, let's get rid of that. All right, everybody, that's going to be kind of the end here. Flux was just saying, where'd you go, Flux? You said 2 things here. I got one. Where'd the other one go? Flux said she got kicked out of the army because of don't ask, don't tell. I'm sending you the article. And you also said confirmation she's on my team. Well, that and the fact she's got a wife. So yeah, that was a major reduction there from 2.6 mil, 2.3 mil down to just a few $100,000. Jeez. Huh. It was 900, something like that. It was, geez. Wow. All right. Anyway, now some of you, oh, what's up, Yoda? Yoda's just chilling there. We'll get you to sleep here in a minute, Yoda. Before we wrap this up, I just wanted to mention one last thing. This is developing as we speak. The grift of the day, the fun and games. This is just the gag gift, the witty thing that you can do. Law cards. If you're not familiar with law cards is the newest thing by Farmhand Tom. He does some cool stuff. What are law cards? Trading cards that feature your favorite law streamers from Mercata, Gosney, and Bronca Devices, Mindset, Good Logic, and many, many more. Steph, the Ultra Nerd. We got Megan Fox over there. We got Ozzy Overlord upside down. We've got a lot of people. We got Lady Rackets over there. Danny's up here. We got a bunch of people. Fight Milk over here with. So what these are? These are essentially trading cards, baseball trading cards that you can just buy. They come in packs of 5. It's $10 for a pack of 5. There's going to be a total of 24 packs. So that'll be what $240 to get every single law card that's going to be made so far. Everything from 1 pack to 24 packs. They're all available. You can get them at getlawcards.com/vices. I need to make up like a graphic for this. I'll make up a graphic for this for next time. getlawcards.com/vices. That will get you that'll get you into my little thing here, and you can get your law cards as we speak. I even made the introduction video. But anyway, this is it's a little gag thing. It'd be a good stocking stuffer. It'll be there, but there's going to be some interesting things. There's going to be some signed cards. I just got an email while we were watching the trial that said that Farmhand Tom said there's new developments. Here's what's going to be happening. There's some more cards that are approved, that are going to be approved. As soon as they're finalized, I'll show you what they are. But there's some pretty fun stuff. I have an F Friday card. We've got a Maritime Monday card. There's a bunch of other cards. Eventually I'll have my own pack. Apparently that'd be kind of fun. But the 5, if you get like a one pack with 5 cards, they're randomly assigned. And there will be some signed cards in there, signed by all the participants, and the assigned cards will be stuck in randomly. But apparently this is one of the new developments that's going to be happening. Once you get once you get your what's the word I'm looking for? Cards. They're going to have redemption cards, he calls them. So there's these redemption cards. What's going to happen is, so you get a Vices redemption card. Apparently they'll be stuck in randomly throughout all the packs. And if you get a Vices redemption card, what's going to happen is you'll go to getlawcards.com. You'll claim your Vices signature card, and you'll get a signed card by me. Why in hell anybody would want one of those is totally beyond me. But you'll get an autographed card from me in a hard plastic case that you can keep on your mantle and explain to people what's going on for time immemorial, sort of like all the major sports brands do. And these cards are absolutely professional cards. Are on the same card stock that's used for baseball trading cards, Pokemon cards, things like that. The really super thick card stock, professionally printed front and back. They have little sayings from people. They're just fun and games, and you can get them at getlawcards.com/vices, and then you can go to the buy section, and that'll tell you all you need to know for how to buy them. We go over here, dude. Just click on that and let you see. Like 1 pack, $10, and that can go all the way up to the 24 pack, which will give you 120 cards. And you can see there's lots of me around here, so lots of legal vices. They'll be stuffed in there. Again, no pressure, no hype. This is just something fun that's going to be happening. The Kickstarter thing has already ended, and this is just the ordering your cards thing. They should be shipping out within the next month or so. So you want to jump on that while they're available, if that's something that you're into. Do what you will with it. That's just the information, passing it along. getlawcards.com/vices. There you go. And it's just me and the dogs. And I've actually ordered myself a full set of cards, because I think this is just a fun idea that Farmhand Tom is doing. So if you want to support him in that endeavor, we all think it's a great idea. So it's up to you guys. And on that note, I just want to say thanks to everybody that stuck through this thing for the extra hour. I just thought I was going to do it for like an extra 15 minutes. We did it for an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you all for everybody that stuck through there. The mods, especially thank you guys that stuck around. We've got everybody here in chat. Of course, the Vice Squad is always the greatest chat on the internet, always will be the greatest chat on the internet. And you are going to come back tomorrow for some amazingly horrific stories of pornographic books in children's libraries. It's going to be pretty bad. The school board meeting that we're going to watch is really, really awful. Don't miss that so you can see what's going on in schools around the country. And thanks to everybody that wants to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I'm going to say goodbye until tomorrow. So thank you for being here for a Monday morning, Maritime Monday, and a little bit of Judge Manning. Take care. Thank you for coming. Waifu, thank you for eating Cheerios with me in your dreams. And everybody else. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Larax out, saying whatever you're doing, we haven't done this in a long time. Whatever you're doing, always make sure you enjoy your legal vices. Larax, Strawberry, and Yoda Butt out.